All right, good everyone. A new tornado warning. We've been tracking this storm all the way northwest of Owenton. Tornado effect for Harrison County and the northern. I do mean the northern fringe of Scott County, rather, until 4:30. Let me zoom in a little. This is not confirmed. This is radar indicated rotation for this cell that's coming out of Grant County and crossing into the northern part of Harrison County. Let me swoop and we'll look inside at the thunderstorm. There is definitely not a well-defined or an area of rotation. Looking at than definitely what it was earlier, but still the zone. If we were to have a tornado, it would be here coming out of Grant County into northern Harris County. You see where these greens and reds actually meet together. Let me highlight, I'll circle it and then switch to a different radar prop. This is Harrison County, so the tornado warning includes the Berry community. It includes, a very northern sliver of Scott County. This is going to miss Georgetown, all right? Georgia, I've heard from people, the sirens are going off there. There is not a threat in Georgetown at all. It is for this part of the storm that is well to the north of you that's coming out of Grant County, and it's dropping. Here's Georgetown. There's no absolute reason at all that tornado Georgetown. There's a whole reason years and years ago that polygons were issued to not cover entire counties, to cover localized areas. We have a tornado. It's still outside Harrison County. It's in Grant County. So even northwest Cynthiana, not even included in this Cynthiana, not yet. Community of Berry, way up here. I'll give you small areas. Robinson community, back over Rutland. This is way in the northern part of Harrison County, up toward Cordova, coming out of Grant County. Let me get you over to our, because we're really in a zone where all three national service stars to the north, to the west, to the southeast, from a picture at this thunderstorm, and it is hard to get a clear picture of what's happening down at it. Have some damage that was reported back in Owen County with radar indicated, and it still is that now. You'll notice the purple is on there, but that was from earlier. The Weather Service was still saying radar indicated, and don't want to fuse with it actually being observed on the ground and confirmed by a storm spotter. This was earlier into Grant County, Pendleton County, 415 of Harrison County. The tornado warning goes until 4:30. Looking at this, though, the rotation is dealing not as defined as earlier. Let me look here at correlation coefficient. It is very noisy. That stands out about this, where it's like one zone at all, even to me, Justin, that this is like, hey, look right here. This is like we saw in Ohio earlier. We have right along 75 south of Williamstown, some weak rotation, nothing strong enough. I'm kind of surprised they extended this tornado warning for the south. Standard radar view, so you can just see what you normally see at home. This is what you normally see on your app when you open up Box 56 weather. This is where we are seeing rain from Harrison County back into Scott County and North Harrison. But for us to be able to look at this storm and say, okay, where is the storm producing a tornado? We have to look inside of the thunderstorm and try to find doing. So the closest we can see to this is going to be this one here out of Louisville that is looking into the county, and you can see the winds blowing away from the river and toward our relatively next to each other, some greens and also reds, but that is still outside. Again, it's up into Grant County at the moment, but it is forecast to move to the southeast. Do you have the movement next there, Justin?
Yeah, let me go ahead and pull that here, as they've been popping in a bunch of other things in the chat for some stuff going on in the Louisville Metro, and then a severe thunderstorm warning that we do have in our neck of the woods for portions of St. County Anderson, Woodford, and northern parts of Mercer County. But let me go ahead and find that here. The timing on this is 30 miles an hour.
Okay, southeast at 30. So right there is the zone. I mean, we even have that. If I go out of Wilmington, that is going to be getting closer to that particular storm. So if we look there, there is a marker that's on that. So right where that rotation is, it's moving southeast. That would be putting it toward the Cordova area at 407 Stringtown community. That's getting right there on the fringe northwestern parts of Harrison County. 409 Boyd community 415, Colemansville 415, Renneker at 460, Big at 470, Breckenridge at 4. So that is our radar system flagging that that's a tornado index. It's saying that that is at a 0.3. I think that seems a little bit high compared to how it was looking a little bit earlier. Probability of some hail with that thunderstorm too, but look at the size though. It's less than a half inch. So not hail. For severe hail, you got to get at least an inch in diameter. So these are the communities coming Grant over this 30 minutes. Justin, I know you're searching too.
Yeah, there's just a little update. KSP Post 5 has reported that there was, with specifically, a house that was possibly destroyed back in Owen County at the onset of this specific tornado warning at its birth. And there's also the opportunity that roadways, trees back in that same area. So this storm itself has been capable of producing confirmed damage, at least from KSP's reports here. So another reason that tornado warning effect for us as we move through the next little bit, because it could always quickly maybe try to spin back up and put something back down. So again, folks in those communities that Justin Logan mentioned should be down in their safe. So I want to draw your attention to another spot because there are other severe thunderstorm warnings on the map for us this afternoon that do include a good portion of the Fox 56 view area in the metro here from Franklin County, Woodford County, all of Anderson County, and then you got the northern there, kind of from the southeastern portion, western portion of Mercer back up through Sales in Woodford County. A severe thunderstorm warning is in these communities, and it's not for those scattered rain that's in the low area, maybe up towards Frankfort. This line that looks maybe a little bit more going to continue to work for as it moves in. The possibility of 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts with this right now is the main source. Frequent lightning along too. I'll see it here on the map once again that there's a lot of lightning strikes. So this likely some very heavy rainfall in there, but no rotation in this. It is messy in terms of organization, and so all in all, we will be keeping an eye on that. But too should be moving into Frankfort and Lawrenceburg. You're probably already seeing some rain, but the strongest of winds from that probably about 30 minutes out or so still. So we'll be watching that sort of as we move in it. And these storms, if you look at the west towards the Louisville metro, of producing very heavy rainfall. So the other concern we'll have as these storms move through is the opportunity for flooding. We do have, in fact, some reports out of Louisville that some water are taking place from some areas being flooded. So that is the history we're already seeing with the development of these storms as they work to the southeast, and certainly on the table for us as we go through tonight. Also with that tornado warning that is out over in Louisville and Jefferson County, they are saying that there is tornado debris seen just west of the radar site, so they do have a tornado warning in that area, all indicating that we could see some possibilities of that the storm as they continue to progress to the southeast. And J-Lo, that's what we're here for the next couple of hours.
Yeah, thanks for that update there, Justin. Again, getting a lot of people asking me that live in Scott County that, oh, my tornado sirens going off. We under the gun in Georgetown, most of Scott County. No, you're not, okay? Let me jump in for people that are watching. If in Stamping Ground, if you live in Georgetown, if you live even in Sadieville here, the reason that they're going off is because the National Service drew a tiny portion of northern County in the warning. And even in this area, there is not a threat with this moment county. The rotation that is is this just weakening by the scan? That's great news, okay? This is still looking very, very ragged right now on the velocity picture. What is that? That is the winds inside the storm. Doppler radar, and it's fine. We see these drops that are moving in different directions. We still see, this is Grant County out of our viewing area. This is Pendleton County here, the county line, County, which is our viewing area. You see these different shades. We start to see a little bit of red and also the greens right here. If the tornado, I mean, it is like riding Grant, Pendleton, and Harrison County greens and the red next to each other. So way to the north. This is north of Cynthiana. This is working. This is going to stay north likely for now of Cynthiana because the latest movement in these last couple of scans taking it more easterly instead of southeast. But this is enough by that everyone from Barry all the way up toward Cordova, as you search his community, Durbin's Boyd community, Collinsville, which again also in Harrison County, you are this close enough by that you should be in the lowest floor of your home. And we can go over that, the safest place in your home, okay? If you have a basement, that is obviously your best place to be. If you don't have a basement, the next place to be obviously is going to be first floor of your home, interior room, away from windows, until we get that started there, until we give you the all clear. But foremost, too, this is radar indicated rotation. We have not had any new confirmation storm in the last 5 minutes. There have been any eyes on this storm saying that they're on the ground. Has had the history when it was back here in Owen County of producing damage here. So far, our little damage markers here, our storm tracks, are not anything popping up there in Owen County. But the Weather Service had reports of that happening back in County. Since then, the greatest rotation, and it is a little weaker, is right on Grant, Pendleton, and Harrison County's lines. So that means that Cynthiana right now, you are not under threat of a tornado, nor is the majority of county at all. Let me go to our view here. In between all of these radars again, where it's hard to get a clear picture from the storm because remember, these radars are situated everywhere where storms are located. They are based in the United States. One in Jackson, Kentucky. We have one in Wilmington, Ohio. We have one in Louisville, Kentucky. All three of those are scanning and looking at this storm. But guess what? They're all about 7 away from these thunderstorms. So they're trying to see that far away. Well, with the curvature of the earth, the radar beams are shooting way up the cloud by the time you get 70 miles away, and it's not seeing what's happening down at the ground. And I think likely because it had the history of producing damage in Owen County as to why they kept and are still for the moment keeping this warning going for it is no fringe of Harris County may and have the potential for a tornado. And we told you that's right on the Harrison, Grant, and also into Pendleton County. Go back to our velocity picture now that I've switched radars. I want to look out of Wilmington again. That's given us likely our best picture from that thunder at its closest. You see right there, looks like that if there's a tornado, it's here, western of Pendleton County, still just northwest of Harrison County.
Well, and the other thing too here, because of how you said so many different radar beams going into this from way, there's kind of like another small area up of rotation in the northern portions of the county here in parts of Harrison County, but it's really difficult to tell because of just how far we are. So on that talking about is this one here. This rotation just outside of Harrison County in southern Pendleton County now as it continues to work on those county lines. This, which is broad and not very well defined and rather rural, suggesting that maybe there's some more light rotation in there. That may be an area that we need to watch. Now, when we flip back to any kind of radar here, you'll know that things are pretty messy. Heavy rain likely in these spots as well. Certainly, try to go and look for the it's best to be down in your safe space, as we've said. But it'd be difficult to even tell there. Also, another thing that radar could be trying to find is maybe some of the updraft, which rotates as it gets into these storms, and could be producing hail in these situations too. Three things working against us from really getting a good visual cue on radar. These areas of rotation are, and so that's why this is simply our indicated, and that's why we still need to treat it as if it is possibly on the ground. Can't play it too safe by any means. To be down in the space if you are close to Barry, if you're in Harrison County, especially in the northern half of the. We work through the rest of this warning. Again, this warning goes until 4:30, so we've got about 15 minutes left on that as it's way through. While we're continuing to watch these storms work in, just a reminder that there is watch and play everybody tonight. That is what we're anticipating. Storms to continue to form into a line and make their way down to the south and east. Likely once they form, if they do come together fully, they will move at a pretty good clip and allow them to get out of the area to expiration as we continue to. Another piece that we have in-house show is they have future casts that I will hear as we roll through it, just to get an idea of storm this whole line move. So you'll see here again to the left by 5, trying to form maybe a little bit more, bring the straight line wind threat for by 6:15 south of I-64 and moving along the Mountain Parkway and kind of getting into places like Richmond, Madison County, back down towards Boyle County, get through tonight, and then they will just continue to work out these. Plenty of energy, moisture. We've got a lot of these threats will continue over the course of the next several hours. And tornado warning expires before we try to whatever our next steps are. But again, as we here, this whole line is getting going early on in this event through. There will likely be more activity as we through.
On that tornado warning tracking for Harrison County, and that was also issued for northeast parts of Scott County. The National Weather Service, I was talking about, they're going to allow and of the here storm in Harrison County, but they're likely leading to allowing that to be canceled and canceled early because a loop of that's the winds inside the storm. Look how we went from a cup in Grant County to now it's hard to even find an area we're seeing winds opposite directions next to each other. So if there's anything we can likely up here U.S. just area, and that is where Justin was talking about a minute ago. Just a bit closer to the sunrise area, maybe some gustier wind. There'll be a tornado there, but I see just about that particular storm. Do not think it's on the ground, but we continue to more north. Okay, so that is from the it's off to the west. They just allowed it to expire, so that's great news, as we were expecting. So for everyone that is just tuning in here, we've been watching a severe and even in some cases, yes, a tornadic producing storm likely that was back in Owen County initially, and now the tornado warning in effect for Harrison County. So if you're watching this right now in Harrison County, Cynthiana, Barry, Sunrise, getting back over to Leesburg, then you get over into Scott County. If you're watching me anywhere there, you are clear for potential tornado. Tornado threat at this time for both of those counties has completely come to. I told you here earlier, there was not county. The warning sirens were going over toward the Stamping Ground area and even over toward. There was never a threat there. It was not even really for the northern part of the county. Rest assured right now that threat has completely come to an end. Yes, there are still some gustier winds in Harrison County and also in Scott County, but not in the degree that we're talking about it even storm. So, okay, let me go back to stop the loop because programming a little recap here that we do even have a thunderstorm warnings. Anderson County and Franklin County also goes into the western part of until 4:45. Been seeing some potential for some gusts a little bit higher out there. But if I go through and look at our max wind gusts, was still that still wind, but we've not seen anything likely close to even 0 miles per hour that's off to the west. Looking at the current watches or severe weather outlook that we have across the area, it's still throughout the normal rate before we go back to programming. And that hard time here with let me switch over to where we go. It's like that we're going to be watching that severe threat continue as that line continues to the southeast. Let me step off here. This it is a hinge right now. Let me just go back to our more radar view and just show you what I'm talking about. We've not even had any gusts. This is a product that we have here inside our station here that we've worked on getting. These are the max wind gusts courtesy of the Kentucky Mesonet so far today. These are the peak gusts since midnight. And we have a lot of weather stations where we've had some of these warnings. You can see the bullseye county, but where this weather station part of the county, 31 mile per hour gust was in, that would be more localized. You get down into between the storm that's coming into Anderson County right now as it was exiting Shelby County, a 33 mile per hour gust. That is not severe. You need winds 58 miles an hour or stronger, but we will be watching these thunderstorms throughout the remainder of the afternoon and evening. But at this point, tornado threat for any of our viewing area is over for now. Watching these additional storms that are racing into Anderson and Woodford counties, those two look like they're getting a little bit weaker. For the moment, though, we will watch these storms, and for immediately, looking for now, we'll send it back to programming.
From Fox 56 News, the Weather Authority, this is a severe weather alert.
Hey, good evening. Meteorologist Justin Esterly here at Cunningham. We've got a new severe thunderstorm warning that's been issued for portions of the Bluegrass, including parts of Fayette County. I wanted to show you what that looks like as this new warning comes into play. Let's take a dive deep into the radar scene here in full so you can see it, including portions here now, again, of Woodford County, northern Mercer County, all of Jessamine. We've got just the smallest portions of Boyle County included in this, and another warning, which I'll show you in a second. It goes all the way through southern Fayette, including small portions here of the Lexington Metro, mainly across southern portions of New Circle Road, and then all the way over to Clark County and Winchester, far northern portions of Madison County too. This warning goes until 5:15 p.m. This line of the storm here is starting to gain some speed, now moving to the east at roughly 50 miles an hour. There's also some concern of maybe some small rotation within this line as it comes through. So as you can see here again, this is until 5:15 for those areas as this strong line of storms works through. Now, we don't have any reports of these wind gusts coming in at this time, at least from the history of the storm, but take a closer look here and you'll be able to see. We do have some areas of green and red sort of coming together here. The latest scan just updated right in front of us to show that fading away just a bit. But with these little greens and reds showing on radar, the opportunity for some slight rotation is present, and that is something that we'll be watching. If I flip over to this version, it gives me more of a storm relative velocity, and what you can see here is it's a bit murky. There's no well-defined streaks of rotation within this. But again, the main line where the strongest winds will likely be, it'll be kind of along this line I'm drawing for you, back towards Willisburg, and then sort of heading in here for us north of Harrodsburg along 127 in northern Mercer County, and then you go back over to southern Woodford County, and there's some more opportunities here into western Jessamine County, where we're seeing the opportunity for some of those strongest winds. So as this moves to the east, southeast at roughly 50 miles an hour, folks from Nicholasville to Wilmore to Harrodsburg need to be prepared for the opportunity of some stronger wind gusts. We should be down into our safe space when we have severe thunderstorm warnings in place. And again, this goes for the next 20 minutes or so here, racing to the east at 50 miles an hour. I'll show you the lightning because there has been a little bit of an uptick in lightning with this as well. Plus storm has been capable of producing very heavy rainfall, which is also giving a flash flood warning back into portions of Anderson County. In fact, pretty much the whole county inside a flash flood warning until 7:45. They had 1 to 2 inches of radar indicated rainfall as this cell itself came through. I'm going to zoom it out so you can see there's plenty of other storms on the map. The strongest ones, though, are showing up actually just outside of our area on really both west and eastern portions of the Fox 56 coverage area. I'll turn the lightning off so that you can see what this looks like. Back from E-Town to Bardstown, there's a severe thunderstorm warning and a tornado warning. In fact, for this very strong edge, frontal edge of this line that you can see here is sort of a bow segment to it. Likely some strong to even possibly upwards of 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts in that they've reported a possibility of. And it is moving sort of to the south and east, so we may see this come into portions of, say, Casey County and Lincoln County and Boyle County as we get into the next hour or two. And that is what portions of Boyle County are in that severe thunderstorm warning for until 5:30 p.m. But this is quite a ways off from you at this point. Now, the progression of this, if it continues to race at this speed, could get there in the next hour or two, and so we'll need to watch that as the night goes on. Again, a quick zoom out shows that the rest of the area is this kind of broken line of storms. It's all a part of the cold front that we're going to see, so we'll be watching for this to fill in and continue to race to the southeast, and if it can do that, we might see some more of those strong to severe wind gusts on top of that. So again, one more time before we send it back to programming here, where me and both Chief Meteorologist Justin Logan are in watching these storms tonight. From southern Fayette County, New Circle Road, all the way down through Nicholasville and Wilmore, down 68 to Harrodsburg, and pushing back off to the west towards Springfield. Severe thunderstorm warning in these areas. South of Versailles is where the heaviest of rainfall is. And again, along this leading edge is where we're likely to see the most severe wind gusts. So get down into your safe space and heed that warning until this storm passes. We'll continue to monitor the situation as it continues to play out. Severe thunderstorm watch until 10 p.m. for most of the area. So keep that in mind, keep the alerts on, and stay tuned for more updates as things progress. For now, meteorologist Justin Esterly sending it back.
From Fox 56 News, the Weather Authority, this is a severe weather alert.
All right, good afternoon, everyone, or evening, I should say. 5:10 your time. A couple of new severe thunderstorm warnings to get to you right now. Some of these actually showing some weaker rotation on the leading edge of these. And we're going to start off here with the first storm on the northern flank coming out of Bourbon County and into Montgomery County. This storm has really intensified in a short period of time here, right on top of North Middletown. And you see that little bit of a notch there. That is the inflow to the thunderstorm. Let me switch out of the radar out of Jackson. That is going to give us our best look vantage point to the storm there. Definitely heavy rain over North Middletown, likely some winds that could be gusting upwards of, let's say, even 60 miles per hour. But you see that little area of rotation. I wouldn't be shocked if they don't put a tornado tag on that or if they see that strengthen up. So people that are watching us right now, because we are right here on the edge of this, I'm just going to go ahead and tell the people in North Middletown and southeastern Bourbon County to go ahead and get into your safe place. We're beginning in the last couple of scans. We've gone from no rotation. We just mainly had straight line wind signature showing to the last few scans. We're getting this to tighten up. There could be a tornado that forms in a very short period of time. So if you live in North Middletown right now, if you live over toward the Stony Point area, there it is. There's Escondido Road. This is going off to the east and southeast toward North Middletown and on top of Stony Point. Go to the lowest floor of your home, interior room, away from windows until this storm passes. Where is it heading? Well, it's going to be going out of North Middletown. Tornado warning coming for that right now? All right, new tornado warning for parts of Bourbon County. That is also going to be going over likely into Montgomery and Clark County. Let's look at our weather camera. Justin, if you could switch, looks like the Weather Service office in Jackson went with a tornado warning, but they're probably going to extend that over for
Louisville's working on it right now.
Louisville's working on a new warning. So everyone right now listening just right as I said that, they issued a tornado warning talking about this rotation. So lowest floor, interior room, away from windows. And you know, we can look, Justin, if we could pan our camera here.
Yeah, it's pointing in the right direction.
Let me see if I can get my hand tracker to select the tool. Our camera over in Paris, that way we can kind of, yes, it's outside of town. This is going to miss Paris. It's already passed through there. You could be looking at, we may be able to see on the southern flank of that where the storm is potentially maybe lowering in the distance. I'm going to pull that up.
You got it? There it is.
We're looking at that storm. Let me pan around. This is looking out toward Winchester. This would be out toward Winchester Road and eventually out toward, back behind the camera, out toward the Clintonville area. So we want to go in the opposite direction a bit. It is going to be very messy and very hard for us to see from this vantage point going in that direction. Definitely ominous looking clouds, low hanging clouds, but there is the potential. We do not have anything confirmed at all out of this, but there is the potential for a tornado here, even though it's radar indicated in parts of Bourbon County. It does not, I want to stress this, because some of the warning sirens today have been going off in communities where there have not been even a threat for tornadoes. So if you're listening to me in downtown Paris, Centerville, Millersburg, you are not under the gun. You are not under any threat for a tornado. This would be towards Stony Point, going out North Middletown Road here, going out, let's see, Stony Point Road. I know all these areas very well for living out in this area. Winchester Road, there's Stony Point toward North Middletown, Thatcher's Mill Road. Everyone in southeastern Bourbon County should be the lowest floor of your home, interior room away from windows. And we talk about this a lot at school visits I do. Do we have the safe place on there? We do not. So if you do not, again, have a basement, the best place for you to be, interior room away from windows. You want to put as many walls from the outside of your home to where you're located. So if you have a bathroom and it has a window in it, don't go there. You want to go to a room without windows, a closet under a staircase, also a very good place to go. This is if you don't have a basement. A hallway, a closet, interior room. Grab some pillows, grab some blankets quick, get those football helmets on, those kids' bike helmets, put them on, make sure that they are in that place and there until this storm passes on by. And the quickest lead we can give you is this is going to be going north of Winchester, okay? So the potentially tornadic part of this storm will pass north of Winchester. It would be heading on this trajectory over toward Mount Sterling. Let me give you some times of arrival here. We're going to get new times on this. North Middletown, it's there now. Side View at 5:28, Grassy Lake 5:31. The Judy community, that's over in Montgomery County at 5:36. So you're talking about a little more than 15 minutes that you can get some lead time. Klondike 5:38 and toward Mount Sterling at 5:40. Now outside of that storm, we are looking outside of some pretty gusty winds. If there's not a tornado, still could get some damaging winds and some large hail. Look here. Hail size, though, only a ½ inch is what our radar is saying. But look at the shear here, 69 miles per hour. So even if we're not talking about a tornado, we're talking about winds 60, 70 miles per hour potentially with that storm that's on top of North Middletown right now. We do have a couple of other storms. Justin, do you see any reports from the Weather Service from this storm that's in Bourbon County right now?
No updates on anything like damage, mostly just worrying about the velocity signature, and it's increasing here as we continue with that specific tornado warning moving through, again, southeastern Bourbon County, heading towards portions of northern Clark and eventually into Montgomery County. A couple other storms to keep an eye on too. I just want to quickly touch on these from all the way back in southern Mercer County, and this is till 6 p.m. A new warning has been issued. It includes southern Mercer, southern half of Jessamine, the very southern portion of Fayette County, and then you're talking about all of Madison, all of Garrett, and far northern portions of Lincoln County till 6 p.m. now. A new thunderstorm warning has been issued because of the potential of likely some straight line winds within this storm, and we're seeing some of those gusty winds too. If I pull up the velocity reading here, this is the area of concern for some straight line opportunities just exiting Mercer and heading into Garrett County. And then we also have a couple other small areas of what look like maybe tiny bit bits of rotation, one right over Nicholasville, and another one that's moving across the Jessamine and Fayette County line, eventually getting into northern portions of Madison County. That we'll need to keep an eye on, but these are more likely a straight line concern for us as we continue. Again, shooting from the Jackson radar scene, you can see a lot of lightning, a lot of thunder. These storms moving to the south and east at roughly 50 miles an hour still, so they are cruising, and they will bring you that opportunity for some straight line wind gusts as we roll through. But no reports of damage that I'm seeing so far from those. As we continue to look for more of that, we'll keep you posted as those storms blow through town. If you are in these areas, especially places like in Garrett County and in Madison County, now's your chance. These storms will likely be there within the next half hour or so, and so now's your chance to get down into your safe space. Nicholasville, Harrodsburg, Danville, you already need to be there. Stay there for a little while longer. We'll let you know when it's safe to come out. J-Lo?
Thanks, Justin. Going back to the storm of most concern at the moment, it is still for the tornado-warned storm that we have going through southeastern Bourbon County. It will next cross over out of Bourbon County and go eventually over into Montgomery County. Let me clear that all off of there, and I'm going to go back down to street level. You see our twisting of the wind signature here. That is where the radar says, okay, I see that there's some rotation with this storm, and it's moving down to the southeast. You'll notice this number here of 4.4, what is BTI? That is the Barron Tornado Index, okay? So that is our radar flagging. It goes on a scale, usually from 0 up to 10. Sometimes it can go over 10. The higher that number, the higher the chance is that there could be a tornado with that. Again, this is still radar indicated, but let me go back and show you what we normally show you when we're tracking the potential for a tornado. A lot of data on here, but I want to leave these storm tracks on because this is going to give you a little time of arrival of when that storm will be heading to your area. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a new polygon on there that's going to take into account the newest scan that shows this storm is moving off to the southeast here at actually at 45 miles per hour. So I'm going to turn off that arrow for you and show you this part of the storm here that's racing to the southeast. It's kind of picked up some speed in the last couple of scans. So off to the southeast at around 45 miles an hour. So a little lead time here for you going through the side view area, 524, Seoul. Looks like Soul Shop area at 529, Judy at 530, Pruitt Community 531, Mount Sterling 532, and over towards Stoops at 533. So a lot of those communities we just told you are over in Montgomery County as this little fine small couplet here right on top of North Middletown continues to work its way along 460 and between, let's say, Stony Point's here along Winchester Road. We get down toward Thatcher's Mill Road. If we have a tornado, this is where it's going to be. Gay Road going over into Thatcher's Mill, which obviously runs into North Middletown. Here it is right here. Here's the center of town. This is Thatcher's Mill. Here's Stony Point that runs in into town here. And this is North Middletown Road that takes you from North Middletown into Paris. So running along the Oldson Road area and then eventually Donaldson Road. Now that's Clark County. This is going to come very close to northeastern Clark and Montgomery, where Bourbon, Clark, Montgomery all meet together. Everyone in that zone needs to be hunkered down until we give you the all clear. So if you're just joining us, Clintonville, Paris, you're out of this. That storm did move over Paris just a short time ago, but it did not on the radar look anything like it does right now. Let's look at a couple of other features that we have inside the storm for you. I was looking at what we call the debris detector a bit ago. This is very noisy. This is not a well-defined signature that we would see. What the radar is looking for are objects that are not uniform in size like a raindrop would be, okay, or a hailstone would be. It's looking for debris, something that could be trees, something could be like rooftops, things that are abnormal sizes, and it gives us a lowering of the scale here. So anytime that we start to see less pink show up, that's when we have to say, all right, there could be some debris here. I still still think it's not well defined enough and circular that at this moment, I don't think that is debris that's showing up. But again, tornado warning, southeastern Bourbon County. It includes North Middletown, Thatcher's Mill area, northeastern Clark County, not Winchester. Also into Montgomery County, it does include Mount Sterling. And it eventually down the line, if it does hold together with its strength, it will be going not only through parts of Montgomery County, but down the line, it would eventually work its way over into portions of Bath County. I want to stay with this storm because this is the only one. Still, is it the only one that's tornado warned?
The only one with a tornado warning. The rest of this line that's back off to the southwest does now have a tornado possible tag on it. Something we could take a peek at once you feel necessary with the information you've got.
All right. No reports, though, of anything from this area that you've seen from the Weather Service?
Nothing coming in of damage specifically out of that tornado-warned storm now moving out of Bourbon. Yep.
Okay. All right. So the strongest part of this storm, if we go back to your standard normal radar reflectivity, look here in the latest scan here, Justin. You see how we've lost that inflow notch. That's well defined. A couple of scans ago, we were able to look back. Look at it here. See how there was quickly that notch that formed. That's where the warmer air, the more humid air was getting drawn in. It was feeding into this storm. Anytime we get these little kinks like that, that's where we can get a tornado, or that's where the radar sees that the storm is spinning and can often, yes, bring down a tornado. We've already seen earlier today a tornado that touched down in Owen County, and we have the video of that we're going to effort a little bit later. But these storms today do have that potential to produce at least a couple of isolated tornadoes. But in the last scan, that is some good news to see that it is showing less of that signature. But we're not giving you the all clear yet, because if we look, it may get a little noisy. So what we have to do is look inside to see what the winds look like. That's a lot more broad than what the signature was just a few minutes ago. So, I mean, that's some positive signs here. But if I show you, this is a 1 hour track of what we call the shear tracker to see how that intensified as it got just past Paris. And you see where we got the red or the maroon shade there. There was that area of strong rotation just east of Winchester Road toward the Stony Point area going toward Thatcher's Mill and North Middletown. This was an hour track. So right now, that current shear marker is just to the south of North Middletown. If there is a tornado left, it's going to be right where Bourbon, Clark, and Montgomery counties all come together here, right? At a triple point. So places like Sideview, again, Grassy Lick toward the Judy community, off to the east toward Stoops, Mount Sterling, Ewington area. As you get down toward Stepstone, this is way off to the east in Montgomery County. All these people need to be lowest floor interior room away from windows until we give you the all clear. And further off to the northeast, there is another tornado warning, but that's out of our viewing area. That is way up here in northeast Kentucky, though. You can see that signature is also well defined on the radar. That's up in Greenup County, Kentucky. That is going to be coming again east and north, east of Vanceburg and north of Grayson, Kentucky. We don't have our twisting of the wind signature here any longer on the storm that's coming out of Bourbon County. So a sign on the radar that, again, it's saying, all right, well, this could be getting a little bit weaker as the storm rolls in, but stay hunkered down until we tell you otherwise. Let me show you the future radar. This is going to take us out over the next 2 hours. So this is a storm right here currently from just near North Middletown going over into northeastern Clark County and Montgomery County. If I hit play, watch what happens as we advance the clock out 2 hours. That particular storm continues to work its way into eastern Kentucky, going eventually through Montgomery, eventually probably southern parts of Bath, and then into Menifee in Morgan County, eventually down toward Johnson County, toward Paintsville. But at the time, it is still crossing out of North Middletown and into extreme northwestern parts of Montgomery County. Justin?
Yeah, I just want to take a quick note at some of the stuff that's going on back off to the southwest of that tornado-warned storm, because we do have a couple areas of interest in terms of the potential of some severe straight-line wind gusts that we need to watch out for, and some new warnings have been issued from that as well. So let me show you what these look like on radar first, and we're going to kind of go down the line, starting from the northeast side down to the southwest. Madison County now heading into Richmond until 6 p.m. There's a severe thunderstorm warning there. The edge of this storm is moving your direction. It's also just about to enter into Lancaster and then eventually work its way. It's in Danville right now, but I want to show you this here. The strongest of wind gusts with this storm that might be a cause for concern is this area right here. And then as we look back in Garrett County, a bit bigger of a swath showing up. These areas here could be producing wind gusts that are above 60 miles an hour. And if we get just a little bit closer, I want to show you this. If we try to get a look at here from radar and the clouds itself, it's trying to show 50, 55, even upwards of sometimes 60 miles an hour. That is likely to translate to the surface. So the opportunity of that will be possible for us moving forward. And we did have in Mercer County a wind gust of 47 miles an hour. So these storms are getting some of that down to the surface. You need to be in your safe space if you are in Madison County, Garrett County, and now new warnings that have just been issued a little while ago too include the rest of Lincoln, all of Casey County except the far southern tip. Regardless, there are some winds with this storm that look even more significant as they continue to work in. And I just want to show you where that line is right now. From the Louisville site, you can see it just into the northern portion of Casey County, right here where my mouse is. You see the strength of that starting to work through, and that is going to be heading in the direction of Liberty here tonight. Some possibility there is a tornado possible tag with these, but I'm not seeing any rotation that would cause concern at this point. As we continue to monitor, this is more likely a straight line wind issue for us, and it is moving again on the front edge. So just into Casey County now, these storms are moving roughly 45 miles an hour to the south and east. So I'll just put a quick tracker on here so you can see when it gets where it needs to go. And we're going to take one more look at that next storm that's up there heading into Mount Sterling now. Quick 40 to 45 miles an hour or so here, and you can see it'll be here at EKU by 5:33. That's just a couple of minutes. Berea 5:45, and then it starts to get outside of its warning box there beyond that. Again, Liberty, you're up in a similar time frame here in the next half hour or so. The strength of these storms, the winds of these storms will be moving in your direction. New updates, Justin?
Yeah, looking with the Weather Service, talking with them too about the storm. Still the one tornado warning that we have. Again, don't want to forget about that, but also we don't want to forget about the rest of our coverage area, which is why Justin was covering those counties for us too. Where we have the one tornado warning is still for Bourbon, Clark, and Montgomery County. And the worst of it has now crossed out of mainly into, it looks like here as we go over into Montgomery County. Let me switch radars here so we can look closer. I think I'm on the Louisville radar. Yeah, into Jackson. The worst of it here is now east of North Middletown. Okay, so I can give you, by looking at this, in the heart of town, North Middletown, you're in the clear, okay? So if there is anything that is spinning still left with this storm, it's going to be now over into the northwestern part of Montgomery County. Let me show you just that here, and it is a lot more ragged than what it was a short period ago. The Weather Service, I was talking with them and said, yeah, it looks like this storm could be cycling. Oftentimes we get that with thunderstorms, especially tornadoes that can produce tornadoes. They go through phases where it strengthens and then it can weaken. We call that cycles. And you could see just right on cue here that Bourbon County is clear of the tornado warning. So North Middletown, you're good to go. You can come out of your safe place there. Stony Point, Thatcher's Mill, North Middletown Road area. That storm is past you. But people in Montgomery County, if you're in Side View, Grassy Lick, even as far east as Mount Sterling, rather, you need to stay into your lowest floor of your home, interior room, away from windows until we give you the all clear. How long is that tornado warning lasting for Montgomery County? Till 6 p.m. this evening. It's 5:31 right now, so about 30 more minutes before that expires. It's kind of slowed down a bit, but if I take you back, and what we'll do is we'll loop this. This is the velocity picture. So what we're looking at is the radar is looking at this thunderstorm, and it says, okay, I'm looking for winds that are moving in opposite directions. each other. The radar can see and detect rotation. All right, I'm trying to get that to hit play. I don't think it's going to do that. But off to the east here, this is way more ragged than what it was a short time ago. If I show you even, this makes a lot more sense to you at home if you're watching the sheer track over the last hour. You can see how it was more intense back off to the west. You have something?
Yeah, I've got a picture coming out of Montgomery being reported from a National Weather Service employee of what looks like a funnel cloud in the area. Just want to pull that up for you quick. If we could take this full, you can kind of see it there. Can't really tell if it's getting to the ground. Kind of difficult with the distance here. Certainly looks like somewhat of a funnel, and there was reported updraft rotation in this area as well. And so we'll need to keep an eye on that as we go through. This was just reported in. What do you think of that? You seeing something there? I mean, it kind of looks like there might be something trying to lower. But with the haze in the picture, it might be difficult to tell.
Well, due to the fact that we're definitely looking in the direction that the storm's coming from, there definitely is a lowering there that looks like a funnel. So zoomed in, it's kind of hard to tell if there is a wall cloud that's above that for the whole lowering of the storm. But because it's been this storm that we saw a little bit stronger rotation earlier, it looks like it is a funnel cloud. Now, what's the difference for people? Oftentimes, they try to interchange funnel and tornado, okay? Funnel cloud means that it is not reaching the ground. Tornado means when it has made contact with the ground and you can see debris that's being lofted, but still that's a step just before it could make it all the way down to the ground.
And it is a National Weather Service employee reporting that funnel and lowering, so I think we have a little more credibility in the report itself. Whether the picture is well defined or not, they are confident that this is looking northwest from the community of Hope, if that gives you a better idea of just the exact location there in Montgomery County where this rotation is likely occurring. And again, as we talked about cycling, we've got a lot of new warnings. I'm just going to touch on them quickly since it does look like our rotation is a little less prominent on radar right now in that specific Mount Sterling area. You see sort of a blanket of warnings now covering a plethora of communities here across central Kentucky as these storms continue to form and work to the southeast. Now, the important part here is that anywhere along this line, there is a possibility of some rotation taking place. And so that's why it's just a big blanket warning as these storms move through. Some of the strongest wind gusts here, and I can show you a closer look of that specifically on radar. When we get down into it here, you'll notice that it's really going to be in these areas where the colors get from the lighter green to the lighter blue. That's where you can see from like Lancaster to Richmond, there's some opportunities there within the actual thunderstorm, which is currently just across this zone here. So that's where the immediate threat will be for us, and we need to be down into our safe space from that. Northern Casey County, you can see here as well, very strong return just north of Liberty that is moving through. So likely some gusty winds coming your way there, and you need to be in your safe space. But this is more of because of these storms and their progression to the southeast. We now have, and I'll just rattle off some counties here until 6:15, most of Wolf, all of Lee, portions of Owsley, Jackson County, Estill, Powell County, northern portions of Rockcastle County. You have a warning now until 6:15. Can't forget about our friends in far southern Clark County, all of Madison, all of Garrett, all of Lincoln, and most of Casey County until 6 p.m. So we need to be down in our safe space for at least the next 35 minutes or so as these move in. And of course, a little bit longer if you are out in like Stanton, McKee, Beattyville, Campton. You have a lot of heads up at this point as these storms work your way. No real signs of them slowing down at this point. The atmosphere is juiced. We've got a lot of energy coming in, a lot of wind aloft coming in behind it to push these storms through. J-Lo?
Yeah, they're issuing those well in advance there, and obviously we have a camera we can look at in just a minute as that storm is coming into Richmond on our home view camera there, so we can see what it's looking like. But toward that storm where we still had a funnel cloud, the Weather Service is leaving this tornado warning still going for Montgomery County. So this would be the zone he was looking from Mount Sterling toward the north and west. That National Weather Service employee was, and it would likely be in this zone here. So if there is a tornado, it could touch down at any point. If that funnel cloud is still extending down from the base of the cloud, it could touch down to the ground at any moment. So everybody here in Montgomery County, including Mount Sterling, including the Judy community, I want you to stay into your safe place until we give you the all clear. You can pull us up on the Fox 56 Weather Authority app. You can watch us streaming there. You can watch us streaming through our Facebook pages as well right now, or on the Fox 56 streaming channel. Take us with you on your phone so you can go to your safe place and hunker down, and we can tell you when we give you the all clear. The last couple of scans here have started to notice a bit more again of an uptick, and we can see that. You see that there where the reds and greens are starting to become a little more clear. If we go back to the normal again radar view, you'll see a bit of that hook that's been showing up there too. There it is, that bit of a notch starting to form again. So on the front edge of this, we're getting a bit of this inflow, and then on what happens is that wind, that inflow of the storm causes the wind and the rain to wrap up, and that gives us this signature that we're showing you here. So if there's a tornado, it would be just northwest of Mount Sterling in that zone that I was highlighting. I'll clear that off for you and take you back down to street level, because we're going to stay with this storm and all of them for that matter, but this is the one that has had fluctuations from strengthening from back in Bourbon County. It weakened, and now we are here into Montgomery County. For those watching in Clark County too, you were in a portion of this tornado warning. You are no longer, along with Bourbon County, no longer under a tornado warning. So Aaron Runs Road, here's Paris Pike, aka North Middletown Road, or again, this is going to be coming out of Bourbon County into, this is where you come into Montgomery County into Mount Sterling. Here's Mount Sterling. This is off of Paris Pike, or North Middletown Road, as we used to always call it. Maysville Road here that goes obviously out of Mount Sterling toward Maysville. The rotation is just off to the north of town, and we can see that again as we look at our shear marker here. It may be weak, but again, we've seen that storm weakening and strengthening along the way. With that storm back off to the west that Justin was highlighting, we can look in Richmond on our home view camera there. This is likely going to be pretty intense, obviously, with the heavier rain that's coming in there on the leading edge of that. Seeing some wind. You can see the flags here on the cars in the parking lot at the main dealership moving a bit, but that definitely is not as strong as what it was a little bit earlier on the leading edge of that. And Justin was even highlighting that a little bit earlier as we were watching these storms continue to work through. Let me clear that off, and we'll go back to our normal radar view so we can see the rest of the area. There's where we have the potential for the tornado. You can see some brighter shades of reds. The warmer colors are moving away from the radar, and the radar's in Jackson. Not much green showing up here, but where we even have just a pixel or two right next to each other here, these would be winds that would be going toward the radar. These would be winds that are going away, and in this zone, if there were a tornado, it's going to be just off to the north of Mount Sterling here. Big reset on the home view. A lot of blinking polygons on here. The orange ones are where we have severe thunderstorm warnings. Justin was going over those a minute ago, and we'll get back to him in a minute. But I wonder why now. Look at the damage reports here. So far, not seeing many in our coverage area. That's a good thing. Obviously, we don't want damage across our area, but some of these could be coming in delayed. You look back off to the west, and you can see toward Louisville, up into Owen County earlier. This is back into Trimble and into again, as you get your way back over into Oldham County, there's some reports there, even a tree that was reported down into Scott County, north of, that was north of Stamping Ground a little earlier. Justin, it looks like we have a little bit of rotation, a little bit, looks like it's starting to show up down there in Casey County. You want to take a peek at that? Yeah, I was just taking a look at what that was, and it looks like it's just some of those stronger winds, possibly aloft, that are coming in with that to set us up for the potential of some rotation. You can kind of see here too on normal reflectivity in Casey County. There's a bit of notching going on here on the back side of this cell, likely seeing some of the strongest winds along the leading edge. But what you'll see here when I flip over to the velocity, the storm relative specifically, here there are a couple of areas where there might be a little bit of rotation kind of moving through, and we'll have to keep an eye on that. It's not very
broad though, and it is broad, excuse me. It's not very well defined or very tight here in that far northern portion of Casey County. Flip over to this view and you can see a lot of potentially straight line winds with this, and you're getting just a little bit of where the greens and the reds are mixing together. What we could have here is a little bit of fight between the radar trying to figure out the inflow and the outflow of this storm as it's kind of fighting in that area, and there could be some rotation in the updraft portion of this storm as well, but there's nothing jumping out to me right now on velocity in any instance here. And I can even flip it over to the Jackson velocity too. We were looking from the Louisville site there a moment ago, and it's very scattered, nothing very well defined with this. It could also be part of the cell itself breaking down. If we flip on lightning, you'll notice there's plenty, but we're getting some gaps in the highest reflectivity where you see these oranges and reds here. This is an area where we could be seeing some of the heavier rainfall, and then it sort of breaks apart in this zone. So we're not really getting as much. Could be some collapse there causing the radar to pick up on some of that little bit of rotation. So nothing of great concern in terms of tornadic activity, but could see some downburst or some very strong straight line wind gusts out of that. And we did have some reports from this storm earlier of at least 47-mile-an-hour winds back in Mercer County. So still something to keep an eye on as it sort of seems like, at least along portions of this back towards Lancaster and Danville area, we're starting to see some of that fade away a little bit. Back towards Richmond, there was some weakening, at least in the winds. If we flip on velocity, you can see it's kind of south of the Richmond area now. This area just north of Berea, between Richmond and Berea, is where we're likely seeing the strongest of winds flow through there. So those are the two areas of concern. Again, here north of Liberty, wrong piece here. North of Liberty, kind of moving into Lincoln County, there would be some of the best wind gusts as well, but the rotation looks rather weak.
Yeah, I got a picture here. If you guys can pull up Apple TV when you get a second here. This was from Jason Stamper. He lives in Mount Sterling, and this was looking toward the direction of North Middletown. And he said this was about 10 minutes ago. And you look in the open field in the distance here, and at the top of your screen, yes, you definitely see a lowering, and that is a funnel. He said it is gone now. It is lifted. It's faded away. That was 10 minutes ago, looking from Mount Sterling and toward North Middletown. And that's here, okay? So just because it's faded away, thanks Jason for that picture, I appreciate that. Just because that is faded away, we've seen this storm kind of going through cycling phases. This, if there is a tornado that could touch down, it would still be passing just north of Mount Sterling. All right, it looks like it's, instead of going more of that southeast trajectory like it initially was moving, it's moving more east, and I mean barely to the southeast, so an east-southeasterly movement, so just passing north of Mount Sterling. And even though the funnel cloud has faded away, this is that same zone. He was looking north from his home here in Mount Sterling. You could see that there. Do you have another picture?
Yeah, I actually got a video. Joe on X posted this saying he's from looking towards that same direction. Potentially a tornado ongoing here in this video coming out of the zone. You can see kind of off in the distance there's this what looks like to be a wedge with some rotation, possibly making it to the ground. You see some other areas of rotation. This is just a short video he posted on Twitter a little bit ago. Again, Joe on Twitter there, or excuse me, on X. I apologize.
I still call it Twitter.
To get out of there.
I still call it Twitter too.
But taken in northern Clark County. This was, he posted it at 5:38 p.m. So this was just a little while ago. It's 5:44 right now. So probably some time in between, but looking between North Middletown and Mount Sterling. So likely during that time where we saw that uptick in rotation again, he passed that on to the National Weather Service so that they might be able to go and take a peek at that. So pretty impressive video to help us try to confirm what might be going on there. Certainly evidence to suggest that there was a tornado in that area. So plenty of other things to keep an eye on here too as we continue to watch. Now I go over to the Kentucky Mesonet just to see if we get any reports of winds to confirm any of these warnings. And we did just get some new warnings for Pulaski and portions of Laurel County too, which I will touch on. The strongest wind gusts I'm seeing recorded though is actually 53 miles an hour, and that was back in Marion County, just outside of our zone. So right now, not getting a lot of capturing a lot of these winds on the sites that we can measure the wind at, but that does not mean that there aren't some areas of these storms that could be producing that opportunity. So just a new update for you. We have over Pulaski County now until 6:30 p.m. Portions of Rockcastle County also in this, and far northern Laurel County, and add more of Jackson County in there as well till 6:30 p.m. now. Severe thunderstorm warning for 60+ mile-an-hour winds, and the potential, I believe, for tornado warning possible is tagged onto those. Let me just read here. New severe for Rockcastle and Pulaski. Rotation. Justin, they're reporting some rotation above Mount Sterling right now coming from Montgomery County Emergency Management. So that'll be our biggest point of concern. They just posted this morning. That's the update. Everybody else is still in here. Just a quick note from my folks in Nicholasville, Harrodsburg, back in Winchester. You guys are in the clear now. These storms are well out of that zone. Not out of the clear yet. If you're in Liberty, Stanford, Danville, Lancaster, Richmond, Berea, or anything out ahead of that to the south and east, get down in your safe space. These storms are still working in your direction. Justin, do you want to go back to that storm over near Mount Sterling right now? The reports of rotation coming from the National Weather Service, Montgomery County Emergency Management reporting that. Maybe we can get a close-up view of what that looks like here.
Let's look at that. I was efforting trying to get a video that one of my friends had from the North Middletown area, trying to effort that to get that shared with you guys at home. Here's the current view of the thunderstorm that is still, it's not as impressive or well-defined as it was earlier, but we've seen it go through, again, just within the last 15 minutes of how we've had a bit of a notch, and then it goes away. This storm is just, as it continues to work its way to the southeast, it goes into more unstable air, and then it gets a little bit weaker, and then it fades away. They are still keeping that tornado warning going here, the National Weather Service, that is, that tornado warning till 6 o'clock for Montgomery County. But I'll tell you, Mount Sterling here, this is northeast of you. You can come out of your safe place because, let me give you a loop. This is the last 30 minutes. It's going more east. It's moving more easterly. Initially, it was kind of going east-southeast, and Mount Sterling did get some rain out of that. But the northern extent of this is where, if there is any rotation left, it's north of Mount Sterling. So if you live into downtown Mount Sterling, it is safe to come out of your safe spot. This, if there's a tornado left, it's going to be up here toward the Owensville Road area, north of Ewington, toward the Stoops, Ewensville Road, over towards Saltwell Road. That's going out of Montgomery County. If you follow it, you go over into Bath County here. Also, right along and just north of I-64. As you're going right through the heart of Montgomery County, so just off to the east of there. So if you're ever on the road and you are on the road and there's a tornado warning, you see one, the first thing you want to do is obviously pull over and find a sturdy structure as quick as you can. If there is not a structure nearby, it may sound crazy, but you want to get into a ditch. You do not want to get under an overpass. You never want to do that. You see that in the movie Twisters and some other tornado movies. You don't want to do that because the wind gets underneath those and it acts like it's a tunnel and it forces the winds to go stronger underneath. So if you ever find yourself on a road and there's a tornado in front of you, first thing, find a building that's as close to you as you can. Don't try to outrun it because tornadoes don't follow roads. And 3, if there's not a building, get into a ditch. Here's what we have left for you right now. There is not much with this, but again, it has been fluctuating. I think they're going to keep this warning going too, just because of its history of producing a funnel cloud and potentially a tornado as it was going through parts of Bourbon County and just there near North Middletown. As Justin was showing you that video from Joe, he sent a video, efforting a video hopefully here soon. If we can get that, Fran, if your friend could allow that video to be shared, I'd love to be able to show that to our viewers at home here. As we look in northeastern Montgomery County, I mean, there is hardly anything in terms of rotation left on this. Now, a few minutes ago, we've kind of seen this cycling through phases where it's been weakening and getting stronger, but at the moment, I am just not seeing much left there. Could we be looking at some heavier rain? Absolutely. Maybe small hail. I am not even seeing hardly much in the way of rotation that's left of that. Were you waving me? Did you have something?
No, sorry. No, I'm just watching through. I do have of that storm. There is a picture posted back in the National Weather Service chat of just what that Montgomery County storm looks like. It looks like what we would call scud, just low-hanging clouds that kind of look like they're rotating a little bit. There might be a little bit. You can see it here, a closer view of that just off in the distance. This is kind of like what we call scud. It just looks like it wants to be something, but there's no well-defined formation with this. Of course, it's just a still, but nonetheless, the storm itself does have a history of rotation, so we might be seeing a little something there. Ashley Cade posted that from WDKY-TV, but nonetheless, thought we'd share that with you as it popped up here for us tonight. So
thankfully not other than that, though. These other storms farther to the south here, Justin, though, yes, they are still severe warned, but there is no, on the leading edge of this, there is not a well-defined linear line of where you're getting straight line winds along this squall line at all.
Yeah, it's starting to really kind of break apart a little bit. We're getting little pockets of what you would call some areas where we might still see some strong winds or some gusty, damaging winds to come out of that. And we can take a closer look. Again, we've got blanket warnings all across the area, all the way up through Beattyville and then back down through Somerset. But an area here that could be showing some of that is now just to the east of Liberty, and there's a tiny tag of rotation here too to keep an eye on that we can see. We've got these blues suggesting that the winds are above 60 miles an hour in that spot. Then we've got some pockets of red in there too. So there could be some rotation within this storm, whether that's the cell itself recycling, whether the updraft is rotating a little bit, certainly possible. Can't rule out maybe a brief little spin up within that, but I'm not seeing anything that would really stand out in a big way here. But still, some damaging wind gusts could come out of that, as this certainly shows signatures of very strong winds. And we kind of have that all along that line. That's just to the east of Liberty. If we back up a little bit, north of Stanford, there's sort of another little dark signature on the map, too, that you can see. It's actually outside of the warning box. Now, that could be that the warning just expired and the thunderstorm is sort of falling apart right there. So while the warning for Danville and Lancaster itself are gone, I would still say wait until maybe another 10 to 15 minutes to let the rest of this thunderstorm pass. Let's look at regular reflectivity. Still some heavy rain in there. Could still see a bit of a downburst in here. I know it's not warned, but nonetheless, not a bad idea to just hang tight just a little bit longer as this comes through. And then you can see a bit of a bowing segment here as we move back to the east. Now moving outside of Richmond, it looks like if you are in downtown Richmond, you're good. We do have some lightning and thunder still in the air and some heavy rain kind of wrapping around you. But there is this note of some potentially stronger wind gusts on the leading edge of this that are coming up. Let me make sure I click the right buttons here so you can see what that will look like for us as we roll through. And again, here is the area that likely has the gustiest, most potential damaging winds. It's really all in this area where you see those darker blue, or I guess lighter blues compared to the greens. So that's along 75 between Richmond and Berea in Madison County, where we're having the opportunity for some damaging winds that come through. So hang tight if you're in those zones. And again, as we've seen tonight, despite that not great linear line of potentially widespread severe activity, we still do have little pockets of rotation that could be of slight concern. Brief, quick little spin-ups that hit the ground, pop back up within a matter of a scan. Could be a minute, could be two, could be less. Nonetheless, the opportunity for it. We actually just got a new tornado warning just now as we're talking about these areas of rotation in Casey County. Funny how we just kind of highlighted that here just a second ago. Let's take a look and see what that velocity is coming in at. If we can get it from the Jackson radar scene, not impressive there again. Let me go over to the Louisville one. Oh, okay, yeah. The signature is showing up much better there as we look at it. So this is certainly a better area of rotation till 6:30 p.m. That tornado warning for Casey and far southern portions of Lincoln. J-Lo, do you have a line on that? What are you seeing from that?
Let me widen back out the view and we'll do a reset. You see how the leading edge of some of these individual cells along the line are kind of bowing out or having this backward shaped C appearance to them. And then on the back side, you can get how it starts to wrap up. That's what we're seeing here just off to the east of Liberty. See on the reflectivity how it's given that hint of appearance of a curlicue there, and it could have been spinning up a quick, brief tornado just to the east of Liberty. This is where it would be. This is where Justin was talking about, just east of Liberty. You were not included inside of the tornado polygon, but you are still close enough by that you need to be still indoors, obviously away from windows, because you could still have some strong winds there in Liberty. Let me go even smaller here so I can show you. This is a really right here in the Lawhorn Hill community, going over toward, looks like Godby Road, working your way north. Let's see what road this is here, going from Bethel Ridge, and it goes up toward Yosemite, up toward Middleburg. This is into the eastern part of Casey County. So anybody living in Casey County right now, you need to go into your interior room, first floor of your home or lowest floor of your home. If that's not a basement, if you don't have a basement, which a lot of us don't, if you don't have a basement, interior room, first floor of your home, bathroom, closet, hallway. What are those closets that is under a staircase? Maybe you have a crawl space. Go ahead, get outside, run out there. If you're living even in Eubank here, you may not be included in this warning right now, but it is moving your direction. Let me switch over to the storm relative velocity. You see right here, this bit of a couplet. If we have a tornado with this storm, this is where it would be. All right. And as we've seen today with these tornadoes that have formed, because I do have confirmation in a video I'm going to show you here in just a minute, out of the North Middletown area, there was a tornado that was on the ground. What happens here with this setup we're in today, these are often not long-lived tornadoes at all. This is not an environment today where we're likely getting large tornadoes, but these are tornadoes nonetheless, and they can spin up in a hurry and with little to no warning, because the radar scans in between the time that radar gets to that storm and then by the time it cycles again, that storm could already be over, you know, a mile or so off to the east. So that's why we're telling you, even in the severe thunderstorm warnings, that you need to be interior room or away from windows, lowest floor of your home, until these storms do clear your area. Here's Lawhorn Hill. That's a community I just called out. We're in Casey County right now. Here's Mount Olive. Here's Walltown. Here's Yosemite. So all of those communities into the eastern part of Casey County, east of Liberty, stay at that lowest interior room away from windows until we give you the all clear. I talk about this at school visits a lot with kids. Time to obviously get out the bike helmet, the football helmet, the sports helmet, whatever type of helmet that it is. Put it on, go into that hallway, go into that closet. If you don't have a helmet, you want to take some pillows with you. You want to take, maybe grab the mattress that's off your bed, or grab some pillows, or get under a sturdy structure, get under a sturdy table, and stay hunkered there until we give you the clear. You see in that latest scan how we went from where the reds and the greens were right next to each other, where they were completely touching, to in this latest scan, they're a little farther apart. What does that mean? That means that we go from really tight signature where the winds are tight together and there would be maybe a better chance, yeah, that a tornado could touch, to where that the rotation gets broader, and meaning that the threat for a tornado could start to go down just a bit. But not enough so that you're able to get out of your safe place here in Casey County. Stay low, stay in that window, that windowless room until this storm passes. This is east of Liberty, east of Liberty. Let me widen out the view. They've extended that now, that tornado warning, to include, as you see here, Science Hill, just north of Somerset. Why have they included that far out? They're trying to give as much warning for these storms as possible. So again, this goes into parts of northern Pulaski till 6:30, Casey County also until 6:30. That's a tornado warning. No, it doesn't include Ferguson. It does not include the Burnside area, and it does not include downtown Somerset. And I know that a lot of people down here, when you hear tornado, the first thing that comes to mind is the big tornado that came through last year, okay? So a lot of people likely have anxiety down here. I can tell you right now, this area of rotation, if I put a quick little loop on it, slow loop, It is moving off to the east-southeast, but on this trajectory, still likely at this time looks to pass north of Ferguson, but still close enough that down the line, even those people down in Ferguson, Burnside, and Somerset, you're going to get some strong winds out of this. So stay indoors. Clearly, don't be trying to go outside and looking for this. I know we oftentimes ask for pictures. Hey, it's pictures if it's safe to do so for you, okay? We don't want anybody going out there and trying to put themselves in harm's way. No doubt about it. We want you to stay indoors until this clearly passes you by. The tornado warning that was in effect for Montgomery County that we were on, that started in Bourbon County, then went into Montgomery, that's expired. That's good news, okay? Yes, there still is a severe thunderstorm warning for the, let's say, far northeastern part of Montgomery County, east of Mount Sterling, over into southern parts of Bath County, northern Menifee County. Yep, that's a severe thunderstorm warning here that goes to 6:30. But the tornado part of that storm, the tornado warned part of it, has since expired. Let me stop the loop, Justin. Go ahead.
Yeah, just want to let you know the update on that for the areas there in ports of Powell, Morgan, Owsley, Estill, Jackson, Rockcastle, and Menifee counties. This is now a 70-mile-an-hour wind tag on it, likely in these areas here coming out of Madison County, where we're seeing some of these darker blues, or I guess lighter blues compared to the green, start to roll in. So they've upgraded that a little bit. 70-mile-an-hour winds, penny-sized hail, but the storm itself, the whole line, moving 65 miles an hour. So even if the storm is showing here in the velocity, not anything that looks overly impressive, the opportunity for 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts is now a part of this threat as it moves in, and that's in a straight line fashion. So just wanted to throw that update in there for you so that we could see that again moving east at 65 miles an hour. So the storm is absolutely cruising through, and just looking through, of course, as Justin was just talking about, they extended that tornado warning into Pulaski County. Again, that one goes until 6:30 p.m. All of these now are at least until 6:15. So as we continue through this evening, the opportunity for some of those damaging winds is there. Also noting once again here as we start to look in portions of Estill County, tiny little areas, very broad, kind of muddied water here in terms of spinning in the velocity that we'll keep a close eye on to see if something else. We were looking at Casey County before, and we had that rotation look broad. Only can see this from the Jackson site, so it's kind of hard to tell, but then we did have it tighten quickly. So just put that in the back here as we go through, that as this storm comes in, there could be some areas with that quick touchdown or that quick spin up per se as it continues to work to the east, and it's moving quick. 65 miles an hour is no joke. Justin, do you have more on that other tornado warning that we've got?
Yeah, I'm trying to get back. Hopefully I can get the Apple TV back up. In the meantime here, you can see on the radar picture what we have for you right now is, yes, still that line of storms that continues to work its way off to the south and east. I'm going to effort to get that video for you because I want you to be able to see firsthand this particular storm that did produce a tornado, because I can see in this video from Nessie Dixon that said the tornado just missed them earlier in North Middletown. So, and I can see the condensation funnel and the debris that was at the bottom of that. So hopefully we can get connected. I can back here shortly to Apple TV.
Justin, just know, we were just talking about there in Estill County. They're now going to put out a tornado warning for Estill County, that area that I was just highlighting as we continue to move in here near Irvin. It's got that opportunity for the potential of some rotation. So let me get over to that. Let me show you what they're looking at here. They've included Estill County. They've included all of Lee County now for us, far northern portions of Owsley, and then you've also got the very far northern portion of Jackson County inside of this tornado warning here tonight. Let me see if I can get the right look of this as we go through. Now again, as we look at it here, face value of what you see on velocity, we've got greens and reds coming together. So we've got, again, this is from the Jackson radar, which we can see right here. That's the radar site we're going for. So it's what's going towards, let me get in on this a little bit closer so you can see what's going towards the radar and what's going away from radar. Now this is not a tight circulation by any means, but in these areas from Winston over to Irvin to Witt, north of Nolan, some of the smaller areas there, these are the areas that the rotation is likely in right now as we're tracking it. Let me get back in on it so we can keep a close eye on it as we go through. And it's likely working its way down that line as we continue through the next few minutes. Let's see, what's the time? 6:30 this one goes till. Let me get a speed for you so we can see. And in fact, let me put this track on here and see if it pops up with anything. So we don't have a track coming specifically out of our system. Let me go ahead and get a speed on this, and I'll put that on there for you so we can see it. It's moving east at 60 miles an hour, by the way. That's what the speed of this tag is for us currently. So let's go ahead and put just a little bit, and again, the best area of rotation, it's such an elongated looking track, but if we were to take anywhere in here and try to move ourselves 60 miles an hour to the east, here's sort of where it would be and when it would be there. So we're talking about Ravenna, apologies, 6:08 p.m. and then Beattyville by 6:23. So some good lead time on here as we go through it. Again, not seeing anything significant in the rotation. I'm going to keep an eye on this one. If we do get some tightening in that rotation or any reports, I'm going to bring you right back to it. I think Justin, though, has more updates on what's going on towards Pulaski County right now.
Yeah, we'll look at that thunderstorm. The reason they issued this is what they call a bookend rotation signature. It was where I was showing you a minute ago. That is a classic picture of that. Is where, see that right there? See how the radar reflectivity, it may not look real clear on the velocity picture, but when you see a signature like this where the inflow and the storm starts to wrap up on itself, that inside of there, if we turn over to your storm relative velocity, that same zone is where we could see a spin up tornado, all right? There is not confirmed tornado on the ground, but there is rotation here in the heart of Estill County, and a tornado could pop up at any point. I mean, it's very broad, the rotation is. Let me clear that off so you can see it a little bit clearer. There is broad circulation here from reds, which are winds going away from the radar, greens are winds going toward. So anybody within Irvin, the Ravenna area, you work your way obviously farther to the south, you get toward the Heidelberg and Beattyville area as you're looking out and toward Lee County and the northern fringe of Owsley County. They extended it that far out to try to give a lot of lead time there, but everyone here in Irvin or Ravenna may not be well defined, but just like we saw earlier today, a few of these storms spun up tornadoes in relatively quick fashion, which is why initially this was just issued as a severe thunderstorm warning. So that's that storm. And then farther south, not forgetting our friends that are down here coming out of Casey County into Pulaski County. This storm also, it looks a little noisy. No clear defined rotation showing up on it any longer. Does that mean that there is not a tornado? Not necessarily. Let me clear things up for you and you'll see what I'm talking about. See how the greens and the reds are next to each other, butting up right along the Casey and Pulaski and southern portions of Lincoln County. If we were to have a tornado, it would be right in here, okay? From Bethel Ridge to Mount Olive to Floyd to Eubank, right there, okay? Eubank right now. So if there's a tornado, Eubank, and I know a lot of people there are familiar with it. It's a small community here up US 27 in the far northern part of Pulaski County, right here. If there's a tornado, it's on your doorstep right now. You don't need to be looking out your window to see if you can find video of this. Again, we don't have confirmation that this is on the ground, but there is rotation on radar, and this is the best tool other than someone's eyes or a camera showing and seeing that. And once we see this signature, what we have to tell you is that you just have to treat this that a tornado could touch down at any moment. And we saw that earlier happen and into Bourbon County, how quickly we went from nothing at all. I mean, there was nothing with that storm when it came through Paris. It went east, it worked into a little bit more unstable air, and that allowed that storm to intensify. So that's what we're getting with these storms too that are farthest south. So Liberty, you are safe right now, okay? You're out of that zone. You were never actually included inside the tornado warning. The polygon was just east of you. And you look at this, and even if you were trying to go outside to see if you could see the tornado, this is the setup. You're not going to see it here because that rotation was literally rain wrapped. This is not going to be one of those storms where you get a clear picture like the one was a little farther off to the north coming out of Bourbon County, which I do have video of that where it was on the ground just south of North Middletown earlier. So right up US 27 going through Pulaski County now out of Casey in southern Lincoln. Here it is. You see this little bit of a notch, and see on the front edge. Let me stop the loop of the radar because sometimes it's not always well defined, and these are things that I've seen over the years of studying weather and studying in school that you look for on radar to break down to you. See this little backward shaped C here, and where this is running in, there's a bit of an inflow on the front edge of that, and that's right into Eubank. So anyone living northern Pulaski County, southern Lincoln County even, okay? Southern Lincoln County, you're right there where Eubank comes together there into southern Lincoln. You need to be onto or into an interior room away from windows until that storm passes. So we've visited that. Let's go back to Estill County and look inside this storm again. Again, 2 tornado warnings. This one is for Estill. It also includes, this goes over to Lee County and the northern part of Jackson County, even though at this juncture, I am not seeing that the signature is in portions of Jackson County, or nor is it of a risk of doing so right now. This is where, if there's a tornado, it would be here. This is not even as well defined as what we were looking at with the storm that's near Eubank, but it's on top, really, or just south of Irvin and close to the Ravenna area, just south of the river. Obviously, it comes into town there. Justin, did you have anything?
Oh, no, I was looking at that same thing. Just a scan or two ago, though, it did look like in that specific spot just south of Irvin that there was that small little hole that took place in the reflectivity, so you could see. We're kind of getting that here, but again, like J-Lo was just saying, it's weakened. There's just a little bit right there. That's the spot it would likely be if there was a tornado on the ground. So continuing to track that idea, and then going back over to that Pulaski one, now the main edge or the front line of this is moving into the Science Hill area. And so as we continue to monitor that storm and as it works through, trying to get you a good view of what that might look like on velocity, this is here again what mainly looks like this portion right here, and we're kind of getting in between the radars again, but this portion right here more of a straight line, and then there's some weak rotation outside of that, like he was saying before with that bookend opportunity. This one more of a straight line look. Of course, now let me back it out so you can see again. This is from the Louisville site, so it's way up in the cloud if it gets over here, but it is hinting at some of that rotation too. So again, kind of in this direction towards Louisville, this one away, but so far away from it that the beam is likely well into the sky, and so when it is, it's picking up on higher portions of the thunderstorm. So not a great reference, at least for what's happening at the surface, but the whole storm itself could be showing some rotation within that too. And I want to show you, while we're continuing to track the outcome from this, back off behind it, there was a flash flood warning for portions of Garrett County, portions of Boyle County, and parts of Mercer. And a lot of rain in a short amount of time there, and it continues to be a threat for us as we go through. And just for our friends back off a little further to the west in portions of Hart and Barron County now into Metcalf, there has been a confirmed tornado on the ground out there for a little while now. They've had debris signatures and a lot of confirmation with that. So thoughts and prayers to our folks over there who are dealing with a for sure tornado on the ground at this time, starting to hopefully see some signs of lift from that as we move through. Just one last note for you before we get back over to Justin here. I wanted to show you real quick the current power outages across the area. We're already starting to see some of those here from where the storms have already been. So you'll notice here back in Lexington, about 100 customers without power, but show you here as we get a little closer, some of these areas will likely start to see more of these trickle through. But look at there in Madison County, we've got about 100 up there in portions of Bourbon County, 400 again, where we likely had that tornado. Justin is, I think, are you still efforting that video?
Yes,
you have some of that for us?
I have that.
He will have that for us. Jessamine County, 300 customers without power. So these storms aren't doing enough to at least knock power out. If we're not seeing trees down everywhere, we're not getting confirmation of lots of tornadic activity. Nonetheless, causing some issues for us here on the infrastructure of our power as we roll through tonight, and expect to see some more of that as these storms continue to walk to the south and east. Were you ready to show us that, Justin, or do you want me to get back on some of these storms here further to the southeast?
I think it's reconnecting here. Okay. Technology at its finest sometimes here.
Always happens live TV when you're tracking these storms. So
it says that it's playing in a TV monitor. I'm not trying to connect to that TV monitor. I'm trying to connect to Apple TV. Sorry about that.
Let's jump back over real quick, maybe while you try to work on that a little bit more and talk about this Estill County storm. Once again, same idea here where we've got this sort of little tail coming through. This is where we're starting to see some of that close, and then it's wrapping in. So you have that, again, bookend echo signature, but it's not very well defined, kind of like that sort of thing. Especially when we have some notching in here, that's where that opportunity for rotation starts to come through. And so if we look at rotation specifically, again, not seeing anything fantastic from that, which is good. Good news for us.
Yeah. But everybody still, as long as they have that, and we see that brief little broad signature there, Justin, we want everybody here in Estill County to stay in their safe place. Same story with the tornado warning that's south. Again, kind of getting between two radars here, Jackson and Louisville on the zone. But everyone in the northern part still of Pulaski County, north of Somerset. This just kind of came through Eubank, and it's working its way east. You need to be down in that lowest floor of your home, interior room, away from windows, until we give you the all clear. I can give you the all clear back in Casey County because the rotation has exited your area. Let me go back though, and I think, are we connected? Let's hit play. This is actually on the storm from earlier that went through just south of North Middletown. This is from Vanessa Dixon there in the distance, and here in a minute she zooms in, but you can tell in the video that the tornado is down to the ground. We absolutely have debris that's being lofted in the air. This was earlier, okay? She says she lived just south of North Middletown and she was looking toward this storm, but look how quickly it was. Look how quickly toward the end of her video, we went from a tornado to what looked like the condensation funnel started to dissipate and started to lift. That is just how quick of an environment that we're in today. And I talked about that earlier. These are not those long-lived tornadoes. Does that mean that it still can't do damage? Absolutely not. It does not. What it means is that they can spin up in a hurry, just like you saw. Thank you, Vanessa, for that video. It gives us a clear picture to tell you at home what things are looking like. And the reason I showed that too is because of how quickly it weakened, and then it touched down, and then it lifted up, and then it touched down again. That would be the situation and kind of the environment that we're in today for these other storms that are tornado warned right now. So let me zoom in a little closer in Pulaski County. Estisburg, toward the Etna area, going toward Woodstock. This is over toward Walnut Grove. This is the northern part of Pulaski County, still well to the north here of Somerset, toward the Clarence area, East Highway 70, Todd Road. This looks like we're going toward Keith Road, Bullock Lane, just east of you, over toward Ocala Road. If there's a tornado left in the northern part of Pulaski County, this is where it would be. So even, I would say, as close by, because the radar beam sometimes being farther away, it can be a little slightly off with the position of that. So from Science Hill northward, I want you hunkered down until I tell you to come out of your safe place. Just keep us on the Fox 56 Weather Authority app. We stream there. You can watch our live stream through our streaming channel, Fox 56 News streaming channel, or our Facebook page, because if you have to leave your, obviously, living room where your TV is, you want us to come with you. So go interior room away from windows.
Just a quick update for you from Payton. He just got off the phone with North Middletown Mayor Jeff McFarland, and the mayor said that he was just surveying the area that he went through there. The video that Justin just showed you about the tornadic activity that was going on in North Middletown, they are seeing rotation went through and just some tree limbs are down, but there is no structural damage and certainly no reports of anybody that has been injured at this point. So good news out of that area from Bourbon County there after that tornadic activity, and clearly we saw it on the video there, came through. So that is the latest that we have on any kind of damage from the North Middletown area. And as we continue through with the rest of these, tracking the rest of these storms here for us tonight, we're starting to see kind of a downtick overall too, and at least in the general theme of these storms. There's still a couple up here that we've kind of left alone for the most part in far northeastern Kentucky near Salt Lake in Rowan County till another 11 minutes for a severe thunderstorm warning, but there's no even lightning left with that one, so heavy rainfall there possible. And then far northeastern Rowan towards Elliott County, just outside of the Fox 56 viewing area north of Sandy Hook. Similar story for us there with those storms coming through. And then the overall lightning trend here, even though we still have that tornado warning, now moving out of Estill County and starting to get into portions of Lee County and portions of far northern Owsley County. We have that storm starting to work into those areas. At least the lightning is toning down, but it's still wise to stay in that safe place because we still have kind of that signature of some rotation in there as it continues to work in tonight. So it's moving towards Beattyville right now. Again, still at a speed of roughly 45, I think, to 50 miles an hour. So it is cruising at a quick pace and will likely be there in the next couple of minutes. Get down into the safe space and you'll be in good shape there. Boonville friends as well in Owsley County. It's till 6:30, 10 minutes. Our normal newscast starts in about 10 minutes, but we're going to hold this as long as these tornado warnings are at least active and really probably until these storms get completely out of the Fox 56 viewing area before we bring you some more updates with that. Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to make sure we got that information across to you that folks are doing well, at least for the most part, in Bourbon County.
You're good. I heard from Matt Hall. He's a co-worker of ours here at Fox 56. He lives in, and he said just a short time ago, obviously the sirens were going off there from that tornado warned storm. I will tell you this here. At the latest scan, Matt, and everyone else that is watching us in Estill County right now, the rotation portion of it is east of Irvin. It's east of Ravenna. If there's rotation left, if there is a tornado left here, it's going to be in the far eastern part of the county, and it looks very noisy here, but I can tell you, let me make sure that I'm on the current image here because I've seen some new data. It looks like it may be a little further off to the east than that right now. I want to switch over, make sure we're looking. It is very, very broad. I'm surprised, to be honest, that they have really kept this warning going for so long. That's not me downplaying this. That is me looking at the data that they're looking at, and I'm just not seeing anything that's like, hey, let me get your attention. What I still notice is that signature. This is radar. This is the precipitation that's falling. See how there's still a bit of that, how it's kind of wrapping up. You can kind of see it in the reflectivity. That's what we call a bookend signature, and why they still kept, and likely still are, very, very broad rotation in the western part of Owsley County here. So if there's anything left that could spin up to a tornado out of Estill County and into northern parts of Lee County, this is going to be it. It would be from Old Landing down to Heidelberg up toward Mount Olive, all right? So that tornado warning, let me reset this a little wider so you can see Lee County. This is until 6:30 p.m. It does include a sliver, the tornado warning does, of Owsley County, but the rotation of what there is likely staying across, going into Lee County right now. Did you have something?
Yeah, the National Weather Service is noting that the rotation in both areas, both Estill and Pulaski County, is on the downtrend. They've issued a new severe thunderstorm warning to kind of cover that idea moving forward, and that's now till 6:45 p.m. Still the opportunity for some rotation in there, and of course, while the signatures are showing, it's good to respect that as it moves through, but a good note that there's a downward trend here, at least moving forward. They haven't had word if they're going to let those expire at this point, but with that note and a new severe warning, it's probably a good assumption. We'll see how they plan it out, but as we
spin our camera around,
yeah, turn that camera. Let's see which direction. Northeast.
Need to be looking
right
to
now?
the north. So let me move my camera here. We can look
left.
toward
There
that.
you go. Oh, whoa!
Let me go back.
Please forgive our cameras. They move quickly.
All right, so that's going to be
edge.
the leading edge.
Yeah, that's a good leading edge.
What would be like a shelf-looking cloud on the southern flank of where we get some of our strongest winds.
And that lines up good with our velocity reading, too, that you were showing
It
there.
does. And you see to the north there on our camera how it just looks like a wall of water there.
Just so much rain.
Definitely some heavier rain, reduced visibility there. This is where we're at Lake Cumberland Regional Hospital. But the storm itself that they still had that was tornado warned was just north of town. Our camera is just kind of like on the southeast side here. And if we look north, there are some pretty strong, what now look more like straight line winds on the front edge of that. We could be getting some winds there on the front edge of that, on that leading edge, Justin, that could could be going 50 miles an hour. Now, again, this is storm relative. I need to go back over to velocity so we could show you that a little bit more clearly. See, 48, 40, 50 miles an hour, maybe a little bit stronger with that. Very close to Somerset. It may actually, some of the gustier winds could come into town, but if you're going up on 80 here, if you're taking 80, so Hal Rogers Parkway, it becomes that obviously as you go east of London. If you're on the if you're on the Cumberland Parkway, I should say, going out of Somerset and working your way out of Somerset toward London, you're going to go into a wall of water, but you're also going to go into a wall of some very strong winds right now. All right, so I'm still not seeing with that either anything that would warrant left rotation that would be spinning. Earlier, though, I can show you our 1 hour track, our 1 hour shear, very weak as it's been going back over time. You can see it went back through the Eubank area up here, and then it worked its way east. So at the current juncture, there is just not much left there. Doesn't mean that we couldn't get some strong straight line winds, but we're talking rotation is what I'm talking about here, and what we're showing you here. As we take this on the radar a little farther back up toward Estill County, you see here, this is a track over the last hour. The rotation is up to almost Beattyville now, but look how the track's gone along back near Irvin and Ravenna, and went its way back over into Madison County when we first started seeing that bookend signature where the radar reflectivity was wrapping up like a back-end curlicue, that bookend rotation signature, and it worked its way off to the east where we currently stand into the northern part of Lee County. Yes, they're keeping that warning going. I'm telling you, this thing is just weaker than it was 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, it's falling apart. National Weather Service is talking about it. They're just updated the Pulaski and Rockcastle County.
They cancel it?
No, they're upgrading the winds to 70 miles an hour for that storm. They've also mentioned that they're going to likely go to something like that for that Lee County storm. That's the one we're looking at, is it not? The one with the bookend idea. I think their concern is running with that bookend pretty strong, even though our signature's not. It hasn't updated yet, so I don't know if it was just a mistype or what, but I'm trying to get confirmation on that, waiting for that update to come through.
If you do look, though, because we were looking a minute ago, I was looking at storm relative velocity. If you look here near Beattyville, we could be looking at some winds. This is showing radar estimates 40, maybe a gust that could be 50, and we're close to the radar here. So we're going to get a good sample of what the winds are doing close to the ground where we live. Obviously, the further away from the radar you get, the beam gets higher off the ground because the curvature of the earth. So 40, 45 miles an hour, maybe a gust up to 50. I do not see anything blowing through that says it's gust at all with that storm even possible as we look at that storm working our way out or into Lee County right now. Let me clear this off. Our camera, I want to go back again. We'll just look at our camera one more time here in Somerset, because that particular thunderstorm that's been going through there just north of town is where we have definitely seen heavier rain and those winds. Look at that coming in. Remember, we showed you just literally a couple of minutes ago the leading edge of that wall of wind and water, and we were right under what was likely a shelf cloud. And what happens with that, you get that very ominous looking cloud. Looks like a wall of clouds coming your way. Those line up just ahead of where the cool pool of the thunderstorm is exiting out. So think of it like this. The exhaust out of the thunderstorm is pushing out, racing out ahead of the storm. That cooler air is. It picks up the warm, humid air that's out ahead of the rain and storms. That rises, and guess what it creates? It creates a shelf cloud. It's ominous looking, and usually right ahead of that and just behind it, you're going to get this heavy rain. You're going to get very gusty winds, 50, 60 miles per hour, and that's likely what we are still seeing here coming through Somerset. Justin?
Yeah, and we're about 2 minutes to the half of the hour here, 6:30, and so we'll probably see quite a few of these boxes that are set to expire at 6:30 come off the map, and we'll be able to do a really nice reset with that once it does come up, because we do have some overlaying boxes right now that can make things a little difficult to understand or see here as we go through it. It does look like the tornado warning here that is across portions of Breathitt, Estill, Jackson, Lee, Owsley, and Wolfe County. So the one that we were watching across those areas is going to be allowed to expire at 6:30. I have not seen a note of if they are going to extend it or just add the new severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag. They're likely working on that right now. Let me see, they just pulled out something. They're saying they're watching, actually now we're going back, J-Lo, to the bookend vortex developing in northeast Pulaski County. So we'll have some update for us there on the Estill County storm moving into Beattyville right now, folks. So again, make sure that you're in your safe space as we sit. I noticed, J-Lo, that when I pulled up the radar here out of Louisville, the velocity anyway, we are going to see there was some broad bookend rotation in there.
You can see that, and what's likely happening again is those winds I was talking about that are coming out of the thunderstorms are racing so far, so quickly ahead of it, and that causes on the front edge of that you can get quick little spin up tornadoes, and that is likely what we're seeing potentially forming into the eastern part of Pulaski County. Even though they canceled the tornado warning, now we have a severe thunderstorm warning.
They are going to issue a new tornado for Pulaski and Rockcastle County line rotation.
There it is. Just came in right there on the leading edge. Well, you know what? We're looking that direction, and we have our camera, and I'm going to sit on this camera, okay? I was pointing that direction on the leading edge of this. We'll see if anything is lower, and of course it's going to get messy the further away that we get because we're looking into the rain shaft, okay? So we're looking here from the camera. Where there would be any rotation is potentially going to be where? Right here. And that's the bad thing about these setups. It's right underneath where we would be getting this torrential rain because it's not in a rain-free zone in this setup. This is going to be lining up back on the radar here, right in the center of that. You see, I can highlight it. See, this is how it starts to curl up right in there. So if there is a tornado, it's going to be there. I knew I drew a lot on there. Let me clear. But it's in here. This is it. So if we have a tornado, this is why they issued it. It could spin up, rain wrapped. Okay, that's if it's on the ground. It would be rain wrapped. Valley Oak, Elrod, the Doll, Sinking Valley, Van Hook, going even toward the Stab area. This is Shopville. A lot of people know that. They know Stab community too because this is hovering right along as you're going the Cumberland Parkway out of Somerset and working your way east over toward London. It would be from the Parkway just north, right here. Plato, Elrod. New scan. It's a little less defined, but there's a bit of a notch of that backward C here that can have on the front edge of it. I want to stress that too. On the front edge, there will still be very strong winds on the front part of it. Let me go back to that and show it to you on the velocity picture. Look at that. You see on the front edge, this is where we could have straight line winds 60 plus miles per hour. So even outside of where they're talking about the bookend signature, front forward of that, Shopville area moving east. This is now east of Somerset, the strongest part of it, and it will continue to race east and right along the Cumberland Parkway. But where that bookend signature is, you can see it even on here. It's not super defined. You're not going to find a lot of reds next to each other, but see how this starts to wrap up in the northern part of the county, just along the Cumberland Parkway. See how this wraps up here, right in this zone. If we were to have a quick spin-up tornado, that's where it would be. Our camera, again, we're just, unfortunately, we can't see anything to that part of it because what we're looking into is directly east into that band. Obviously, that's going to reduce visibility in Somerset. The heaviest of it is actually east of town now, right along the Cumberland Parkway, and that's US 80 here, works its way out of town and eventually goes over toward London. I was looking a minute ago, Justin, at some of those peak wind gusts that we had across. Do you have anything new? And I'll put that map up so people can see what that's looking like today.
As far as this storm goes, that is over here for us within Beattyville. If we take a close-up of that and switch over here to links 1, please, we'll be able to get a view of that thunderstorm. It looks like this thing has completely fallen apart on reflectivity, which means that that whole bookend vortice that we were talking about, that bookend echo, is kind of disappeared from our radar. Now, as we take a look at the velocity and take a closer view of that, just south of Beattyville is probably where the strongest of the wind gusts are, and as it continues to sort of fade out. It sort of rains itself out now. It's kind of collapsing a little bit. Seeing a downtick in that is probably a good sign for us because we'll likely get rid of this the severe thunderstorm warning over the course of the next 10 to 11 minutes. Again, it's for portions of Wolfe County, Lee County, Northern Iowa, and then back into Jackson until 6:45. And so that is the latest update with that. I have not seen anything from the National Weather Service out of Jackson that they will be extending that or holding it. They did, again, move it to a 70-mile-an-hour potential wind. That could be also for the fact that that storm was falling apart. And so when they collapse, wind gusts can easily achieve what we see high up in the atmosphere down at the surface in a brief moment. And that's probably why they held on to that. We can go back to links 2 now. Justin, you had more you wanted to share?
Yeah, could have been a downburst there as we were switching. Let's go back over, I think, is this links 2 or is this links 1? Sorry. Let's go to links 1, sorry. We're switching back and forth. He's on 2, I'm on 1, apologize. The radar getting weaker with the reflectivity signature, as Justin was mentioning, out of Lee and Owsley County. But what we're most still concerned with is the strongest part of this that is actually racing down to the south and west here as we get, I am on 2. I apologize for that. It's been a long day here. All right, let's go back here at our home view. I apologize that. Thanks for our director for following along here. This storm we go out of Pulaski County. This is some very strong winds. Even if there's not a tornado here, this is where we could have gusts. That's why they issued really the tornado warning and severe thunderstorm warning as potential. I know it's only showing 48, 50 miles an hour, but we could on the front edge of that get 60+ mile-per-hour gusts. And on the back edge of that where they issued that tornado warning for the potential of a bookend or a quick spin-up tornado, I don't really see that signature as much as I did just a minute ago. So, I mean, that's some good news, but we want you to stay indoors away from windows here, Pulaski County. Somerset, it does not include you anymore. Science Hill, Eubank, it does not include you. It does include the Shopville area and the eastern part of the county. Even if there's not a tornado, this can do some straight line wind damage right along the Lick Creek Road down toward the Goodwater, Whetstone communities, a little farther even to the south toward the Dykes community. Mount Victory, as we go back, this is going to show it a little bit more clearly as I go to a different velocity picture. This is east of the Eula community, going north of Mount Victory. All of these brighter shades towards Sandy Gap. When we start getting the brighter shades of the bluish kind of green there, that's where we're going up the scale where winds could easily go 60+ miles per hour, which is why they did issue that severe thunderstorm warning with the potential of winds that could gust upwards there of 60 or 70 miles an hour. That goes until 6:45. The severe thunderstorm part does. That includes Pulaski, it includes Laurel County, and that again until 6:45. The tornado warning goes until 7:15. Even though there is nothing inside here that looks well defined, I can look from a different vantage point because we're kind of punching through some of the rain and the wind, and obviously that is going to kind of help lower the picture for us as we're looking into these storms, both having to punch through multiple storms. So it kind of deters or kind of lowers the visibility slightly for the radar to give you a good view.
And then just a quick update for us in Estill, Jackson, Lee, Owsley, and Wolfe County. That has been allowed to fully expire now for us here. They've expired that thunderstorm warning where we were having back in Beattyville and Boonville areas. That one is now since being expired, so we are free for that. For now, it just looks like some pockets of heavier rain, maybe some gustier winds will be of concern for us there. And just to note, as these storms continue to move, we're already seeing some of the back behind this. So Fayette, Jessamine, Clark, Bourbon, we're completely out of a severe thunderstorm watch now. While we do have some of those flood warnings still in place from the heavier rain earlier on, you're in the clear for the rest of tonight. And we'll be able to trim more of these counties back as these storms continue to progress to the south and east. And again, we're really holding now just for that tornado warning that's going to start moving into Laurel County here. It's until 7:15. Once we have that wrap up, if there's no new ones, we might be able to bring you just a little bit of some news headlines from the day. I know we have more updates on some of the tornadic activity activity and some video to show you from earlier this afternoon from this event itself. So we will try to bring you some of that so long as the rest of Mother Nature cooperates. But there are more warnings being issued here, it looks like. And in fact, as we scoop back out to radar, you'll see now they've put a severe thunderstorm warning on top of the tornado warning, all for the same location from Somerset to London until 7:15. It looks like they've moved it now to a severe thunderstorm warning, 70-mile-an-hour winds possible, tornado possible, again with that moving to the east at roughly 40 miles an hour. So that would suggest that they're ready to get rid of the tornado warning itself. The bookend situation is certainly, I don't know how you feel about the camera. Are you seeing anything from our Pulaski camera that suggests rotation or any kind of tornadic activity outside of that?
Not from what I can see on our camera. What I can see from that is that clear on that wall of water, but it's starting to break up a bit. Let me go back to our camera here for you so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. This looks to be, okay, so this whole view here is likely where we're talking about that shelf cloud on the leading edge, but also on the forward flank of this, a bit of a lowering slightly, not to the degree that I see a funnel or anything there, but the base of the cloud is a bit lower. We're looking toward the eastern part of the county. Again, this is east of Somerset. We're viewing this from Somerset toward the storm. As we go back to the radar, let me show you where it's at. This is looking from Somerset to the east at this part of the storm here. So I can zoom in a little bit closer and show you exactly what I'm talking about. It's for this part of the storm. And yeah, it's pretty intense here. This is mainly what I'm seeing going to be straight line winds. Now, could there be an isolated tornado in this area east of Somerset? Could we get one that pops up? I'm not going to rule it out because of just the volatile environment that we've had today, of how things have evolved, kind of up and downs with the tornadoes throughout the day. The brief tornado spin-ups that we saw going through Owen County earlier, that one was stronger than we saw the video that I showed you earlier of the tornado that did touch down in southern Bourbon County, then worked its way over likely into Montgomery County. If we have a tornado, it would be broad signature here. There is some very broad rotation eastern parts of Pulaski County, but it is definitely not well defined. Strong winds on the front edge. That is tornado little to no warning. So everyone in these communities here, I will say east of Bent, east of Eula, east of Whetstone, going toward the Squibb community, Billows, Goodwater, farther east. If there would be a spin up, it's going to be in this zone right where the reds and the greens come next to each other. And that's moving the whole, what's the forward movement of the storm itself? Did they say in that new warning?
Yeah, let me pull this up here. It's moving to the east at 40 miles an hour.
So, you know, because there's not a well-defined signature here, I'm just going to broad brush where we have the strongest wind gusts, okay? And that's moving east at 40, you said? 40 miles an hour. So bear with me as I try to get this hand to track farther out at 40. We'll give you a little speed up time. There we are. Bernstadt at 650, High Top 653, Pine Grove 657, toward the Keevee area at 658, Sublimity City 658, London at 658, Lily 702, Maplesville 703. And what we're tracking is where the leading edge of the strongest winds are that could potentially go 60, maybe upwards of 70, but 60 plus gusts are possible. Does that mean it's prolonged 60, 70 mile per hour winds? Not likely, but does that mean that the forward edge could be getting some gusts that strong? It is possible, and it's moving east. I just don't see a well-defined signature in this zone, though, that screams, hey, this could or is producing a tornado, but for sure, some straight line winds.
Yeah, just honest question here for you. Do we make it all the way out to Elliott County on our broadcast? Because there is a new tornado warning out there. Just wanted to quick.
Technically, it is out. It is
just
outside
of it? Okay.
just outside
well,
of
there is one until
our
7
DMA.
PM. for that. So
but you know what?
touch on
This
that.
is an area that was impacted by a tornado way back, all right? Going back into 2012. Wow, now that's a signature. When we talk about a couplet on the radar where reds and greens are next to each other, that is definitely it. East of Sandy Hook. This may only be radar indicated at the moment, but I wouldn't be shocked if short order, if there is not, or if there's not already a tornado on the ground. I want to look at correlation coefficient here, because I think we do have some people on cable that get us here. Looking at this, this could be in that zone. In this instance, this could be a lowering of the correlation coefficient. All you need to know is that this maybe where the radar is seeing something different than raindrops and something different than hailstones, something that's not uniform like those two objects are. And it says, you know what, that's something different, like debris. And you know what? In that latest scan, you just saw how it brightened up and we start to get shades of green. That likely is a debris signature here toward the Sarah community. And you know what? That is putting that on the edge of Elliott County and over into Lawrence County, which is on the edge of our viewing area. I know we do still get some people that get us on cable over here. Peyton Hinkle's family lives in Lawrence County, and they do get us. They've only issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Lawrence County right now, but I'd be shocked if the Weather Service out of Charleston does not go ahead and add a tornado warning for Lawrence County. If you're watching this there, you do need to be in your safe place. We're just going to go ahead. We're treating this. There is a tornado likely on the ground out of southeastern parts of Elliott County, crossing into the western part of Lawrence County. This is still well west of Louisa, which is the county seat. That's right here along the state line, butting up with West Virginia. This is west of Blaine. This is way to the west, crossing along the county line here out of Elliott County, really going right along Mill Creek Road. You see anything?
Yeah, I mean that's why it caught my eye. It was an impressive signature for sure as it started to show up, and they talked about it here in the chat of popping that up as a tornado warning. So we wanted to bring you that. Even though it is kind of right on the edge, it's a good thing that we have some folks that could possibly see this. So go get down into the safe space. Good news across the rest of the room this back out here is that we only have those two hot spots to deal with here through the rest of this evening. At this point anyway, no huge new developments coming in with these storms, the strongest of which you can tell almost on links number 1, please, with the full screen. You can tell with the lightning that's showing up here, just enough out of the area to see where storms are really fading away and things are sort of wrapping up versus where we're getting the strongest activity. So again, if you're back from Danville to Richmond, all the way over to Moorhead, anywhere along that line, you've been in the clear now. You'll likely see your watch get expired. I would even say from Liberty to Mount Vernon, although there's still some heavy rain and some lightning in Mount Vernon, so careful there. Back towards McKee, Boonville, Beattyville, Jackson, you guys are also in the clear right now from any type of severe weather. Some lingering rain showers, lightning and thunder. Probably not a great time to get out and go for a jog or anything like that, but still the opportunity for severe weather is quickly fading and will likely stay that way for you through the rest of this evening. So we're continuing to track those two cells. The one of really the biggest importance is going to be the London, Somerset, Corbin, Laurel County, Pulaski County storm that's moving in. It's starting to get closer to London now, moving along 80. You're likely seeing maybe some of those winds pick up a little bit in that area as the leading edge of this storm gets in. We're checking in with the National Weather Service to see if they're going to pull that tornado warning back or keep it on there. It looks like, Justin, they're going to, it's a potent velocity signature, considerable severe in effect. I don't really know if that answers our question of if the tornado warning will stick around or not, but they're pretty persistent on the 70-mile-an-hour possibility.
Yeah, and you look at this, and when we have a severe thunderstorm that has the capability of producing 70-mile-per-hour winds, we have to stay with that too, just like a tornado, because we've seen in the past straight line 70-mile-per-hour winds that can knock down trees, that can rip off roofs of homes and do a lot of damage, okay? And that's what is potentially still going into Laurel County right now, into the western western part of the county. It's still west of London, but here's your heads up that, yes, likely the signature for tornadic activity has weakened, but still the potential for very strong winds right here. You can see, look at those brighter shades of blue. This is London here at the really upper right corner of your TV screen. This is where we could, in the rural part of the county, going back over toward Line Creek Road, going back over toward, looks like Cane Creek Road, a little farther off to the west, looks like Rocks Road, West Laurel Road, farther off to the north. These are some of the roadways into western Laurel County that likely are producing winds 60, maybe 70 miles an hour that are working their way off to the east. So that is something we'll watch there. The tornadic part, I'm not seeing that there, but still straight line winds can do just as much damage when you're talking about something that's that strong. And then this storm still back up to the north. I mean,
yeah, it's...
Of course, they extended that tornado warning for Lawrence County, too.
That they did, yeah, and they've got it moving to the east-northeast at roughly 44 miles an hour. At least our tracker does, so when you pull that up, you'll see it's going to get into Blaine here in the next 10 minutes or so. Now, it does look like that rotation, if it follows that arrow specifically, might just scoot north of Blaine, but still a dangerous situation for everybody out there. Likely a potential tornado on the ground. Go ahead, pull that up and see what we're getting in terms of, are you looking for the debris detector?
Yeah,
there it is.
Going back. It's still there.
There's still something there for sure.
Yeah, still something. So maybe a little less than it was, but this is where the track is still taking it. And if you're living in Blaine, from Blaine, Hannah, Cherokee, up toward Blaine's Trace, back over, it's already on top of the Holcomb and Sarah areas. Blevins, you have maybe a couple of minutes, okay, if you're not already in your tornado safe place here, okay? Let me go back to our standard storm relative velocity. You see where these colors are coming together, the greens and reds right there on the county line still, from the Sarah community just south now. We just got an updated scan. You saw the updated velocity picture here. These are the winds. Look, you see it moving south. This is why Justin and I were just saying to mention that still Blaine should be in your safe spot. There it is. It kind of took more of a jog in the latest update, a little farther off to the east-southeast. So that rotation, the potential tornado is in the western part, northwestern part of Lawrence County at the moment. It's well east of Sandy Hook. So anybody living in Sandy Hook that may be watching us in Elliott County, you are clear of the tornado. You can come out of your safe spot in Sandy Hook. Just a minute ago, the BTI here, that north of a 7 a minute ago. The higher that number goes, generally that goes on a 0 to 10 scale, okay? The higher that number is, the more likely that there is a tornado. I've seen in some bigger tornado outbreaks that number's gone above a 10, like an 11 or an occasional 12, but when you're getting high, upwards of a 6.97, there's likely a tornado here in the western part of Lawrence County. And we saw that just by looking a minute ago at the correlation coefficient. It had dropped down, and it still is meeting up. The debris, look at it, it's being lofted out ahead of that, and it's coming toward the Blaine area. So there is, I'm surprised that they have not already gone ahead and gone confirmed with this.
Certainly a debris signature that is worth noting for sure. That a little scary there for them. Hopefully those people in Blaine are heeding that warning and getting down to that safe space. An update for you though over on the Pulaski, now really Laurel County tornado warning and severe thunderstorm warning. Those are going to be allowed to stay in play until 7:15 because of the signature we're seeing, and it's now starting to the front edge of it, moving right into the London area. So if you've been waiting, no longer. You need to be down into your safe space, because as we take a look at the velocity reading of this, it is now the strongest edge of that storm working in. And once again, you can see it on the map where we've got those areas of maybe some very weak rotation here, but the strongest portion of the winds is likely right there, moving right between London and Corbin, about to hit I-75 as it continues to work along to the east of Hal Rogers Parkway. So we will be needing to be in our safe spot for that. If you look here too, this is just a little piece that we can put. Let me clear these arrows off. If we click on it, we can get an idea as an estimate, but at least 54-mile-an-hour winds are in the thunderstorm at this time, and they will be possibly making it down to the surface with that, plus heavy rainfall, frequent lightning ability, and the idea that it continues. Well, we look at the lightning and down storms today to quickly for a short amount of time and pull it back up another 20 minutes. So we were moving into the London area, starting to get to the edge of that tornado warning box. And as it does, well, the severe thunderstorm warning box does just come out to the outside of that, so it will cover all the way through. We may see that get one more extension further to the south and east into far portions of Knox County here. That might push our opportunity just a little bit. But the larger storm itself is showing some of that broad rotation, and so that's why we're holding it. And here we go. If we look at it like this, you can see it too. This is the storm relative. So what this does is, as we take the radar beam and we cast it into the storm, it's going to try to get the speeds of the winds relative to the direction that the storm is moving. And so because our radar beam is to the north and east of this, kind of shooting, well, eventually we'll start to shoot parallel into the direction of this storm. The storm relative helps us pick up the better way. And again, with the toward radar and away from radar, you can see it, and we can draw it in here that we're going towards in this direction and away in that direction. And so the concern for some of that rotation, even though it is in a broad sense, is right just to the east of London, even though we look at velocity and we see that the strongest readings are a little south of there. The area of concern is where there's that little bit of gap currently. So that's the concern and the main point of emphasis with this storm as it continues to march to the east. Let me get an updated timing on this as it works across. And it does look like, here, we have to go back just a few to get there. I think it was 45 miles an hour that last time.
That newest scan right there looks like that. Did you switch over to
back to the storm relative?
Yeah.
That.
A little tighter than it was in the last scan for sure there.
Yeah, and it's actually, and again, it's just to the east of London, and when you have the other velocity reading on there, that shows it south. So I think that's why it's good, even if you're in London, even if you're in Corbin at this point, you should probably be down in the safe space, because that rotation, if that tightens up, we could get something down quickly, and it might skip. It might be in between scans, and so that's important to note too, especially when it tightens. Maybe we wait for one more scan here and see kind of what that rotation does. Do you have more?
You know, they decided to stay with that, and obviously with the history of these storms today, kind of fluctuating in intensity, weakening, and then they go in cycles, okay? So we talked about that earlier, and that leads to the potential development of a quick tornado that could spin up, and then it could fade away in a hurry, as Justin was mentioning. So that's likely why, even though a few scans ago there was hardly any sign of rotation left, it was more straight line winds. Well, in the last couple of scans, we've seen the winds kind of tightening up together to where a spin up tornado could still happen. So for sure, still some gustier winds coming into London, but just west of town is where the heaviest winds are located and where we could potentially get a tornado. Let me look here at a couple of other features that we have for you. I don't think we're going to definitely see anything on CC down here. Absolutely not. Well, in the latest scan, though, not on CC, but in our latest scan, the radar is finding, again, that there is a little bit of rotation starting to tighten up there. That was just exactly what Justin and I were highlighting here. If you look at the 1 hour shear, okay, so the rotation tracker for 1 hour, you can see how it kind of initiated a little farther off to the west, and it's gone east, but you'll notice there's some breaks here and there between the line. That just goes to show you how it's kind of pulsed up and down. So coming into Laurel County, still stay into your interior room, your safe space, until the storm exits. And it's going to take a while too, because it's not moving that fast. It's moving about 30, 35 miles an hour.
The latest update that just came through suggested 30 mile an hour to the east. So that would put it right in London in the next 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So
it's probably already, before a new scan comes, it's probably already on the west side of town.
Yeah, that's our biggest concern right now too. They're keeping that warning. It's got 15 minutes and some change left on it, so we'll see how it progresses as it makes its way through town.
I'm going to step off and loop this for just a second so people can see how that's evolved in like the last 30 minutes here. We'll even do 45 minutes. I'll go back. This is going to look back a little farther, how it evolved out of Pulaski County. Look at this. This kind of just shows what we're talking about. See how we went from more of it going into a Boeing straight line. Then this cell kind of merger from the north starts to tighten up, and then it's diving more off to the east-southeast. So, yes, it's strengthened within the last literally 5 to 10 minutes in the latest scan. So anybody living in Laurel County still, we know they've issued that severe thunderstorm. Let me stop storm tracker in of that road here, and the top storm 22,000 feet. For just a quick little weather 101, that is a low top, and it is not building up tall at all. So it is already on Pine Grove right now, all right? It is there. Looking at Ferriston, 709, the Boring Community, 714, down toward Fletcher, 719, and down toward the Leda Community at 720. So, again, you're going to be working your way eventually out of Laurel County and into northern parts of Clay, southwestern parts of Clay, rather, and northern parts of Knox County as that keeps racing eastward. So not only just a threat still for some strong winds, but we could still have that tornado threat, and they have the warning go for minutes. But it's about to go outside of the box here, about to get out of the warning polygon.
Yeah, so we'll see if they issue a new one. I think there's some chatter in here about what, as it is, rotation appears to be tightening up. I wouldn't be shocked if they went ahead and pumped out a small warning as it continues to progress to these. On top of that, they threw a couple of flash flood warnings in behind it for northern Pulaski and parts of Rockcastle County. Some radar estimated 1 to 2 inches of rainfall have gone along with this.
Wow.
So not only that, we've got potential flood concern for us here as the night rolls on. Those flash flood warnings till 9:45 p.m.
Yeah, and the flooding that was ongoing earlier back into the early afternoon hours back in Anderson County, that likely has had a time to recede because it was flooding in town, and you've not had rain in a while there, even though the flash flood warning goes there until 7:45. A little farther down to the south, though, again, still one tornado warning left in the heart of our coverage area. And here's the city of London. There is the west side of town. Here's I-75. It's kind of hard to see. It's this wider line that's coming through. We'll take you down to street level and show you a little closer. There's Sublimity City, communities that obviously were hit with the tornado last year. We don't have confirmation ones on the ground, but we know how this goes, all right? Lowest floor, interior room, away from windows. Down, under something, center of your home, keep away from windows. The duck method. Get down, under, center of your home, lowest floor, and keep away from windows. And that's right here.
New tornado warning coming out right now for Clay, Knox, and Laurel. So they extended that further for us here into this evening. And it is now moving at a pace of 30 miles an hour still. So that's until 7:30 p.m.
So that's that there right there. And you can see as we put a new track on the edge of that, because I'll go out just ahead of this, you'll see it goes following the same line at about 30. So, I mean, that is really slowing down with that storm itself. We just gave you some of these communities, but there they are again, and we'll just leave that there for you to look at. Lesbos community at 717, Fletcher 722. It's kind of been fluctuating on the forward movement a little, 725 in the Cane Creek area. So you're still looking at here 15, 25 minutes away before that potential tornado moves into your neck of the woods. Looking at any, I will turn on our local storm reports, none showing up in this vicinity here, but we are looking though at that shear. Yes, it's still weak here, the rotation tracker, but it is still showing up a little bit of green there on the west and southwest side of London. So stay away from windows. Don't be trying to look for this, because if I go back to the normal radar reflectivity, this would be rain wrapped, all right? So you're not going to even be able to see that. It would just be like a wall of waters coming your way, and that tornado would be found within that if there is a tornado. We still say if, because we don't actually mean that there is one on the ground. And looking even inside the storm at the debris detector, there is not an indication on here with the debris detector that we are seeing anything that would show that there is a well-defined signature of debris showing up. So thankfully we're not seeing that. That's some good news. At least right now, I'm not downplaying this. I'm just telling you that at the moment we don't see a sign of a strong tornado or a tornado nonetheless, other than maybe on the rotation here that yes, we could still see one spin up. In the latest scan, look how the couplet has tightened up back over just west of the Pine Grove area. The Wyan Road area right here, this is West Laurel Road. I mean, we're literally right in the heart of the couplet that is showing up on the latest scan here, Justin.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. They're showing it on the National Weather Service chat too. Those little tiny spots of green and red just to the northwest of Pine Grove there.
Right there, yeah.
Certainly a potential for something. You were showing the debris detector. No reports of any of that. Zero reports coming out of this area so far for us tonight too. Even looking back towards Pulaski County as it was coming in. So, like you were saying, that's a good thing to hear. But the opportunity for something to pop up here is certainly still. Yeah,
it could, and you know, it could happen just quickly. In that video we showed you earlier, the one from North Middletown, and the other video you got from Joe, it was down and then it was up. Yeah. I mean, these aren't ones that are today in the atmosphere that we have. It's more conducive for, yes, straight line winds, but also we can get weaker, usually spin up tornadoes. Yeah, they can still do damage, but in between these scans, that it could touch down and then it could lift right back up. But we're staying with this obviously until the warning expires, and it expires 25 minutes from now.
Yep. And
the newest scan puts the center of circulation. Here's downtown London, Sublimity City, and this is really going more, it is still going on that southeast trajectory. So I still want everyone from London south to be hunkered down until we give you the all clear, okay? You can pull out and watch us on the streaming channel on our Facebook app, on our Facebook pages. You can follow us there. We're streaming there on the Fox 56 weather app. That way you can take us, if you're out ahead of this, those counties that we just called out, you can stay and take your phone with you and go to your safe place until we give you obviously the all clear. Now, if you live northwest of London up here, northwestern part of the county, I'm talking way up here, we get more rural area toward the Billows area, West Highway 80 along the Cumberland Parkway. You're going to find yourself in the clear from rotation. This is just farther south, very close to London, down toward the Pine Grove community right there. And I can kind of tilt this back in 3D, and you can see right here is Pine Grove, and here is where we have the rotation. I'm going to check here, see if we have if I have any pictures or videos or any other reports that are coming in. A little earlier, Matt Hall said as the storm came through his house, that was back in Estill County. He said he had a little bit of wind, but it wasn't anything to really write home about. He could hear it in a safe place it was in there, but it wasn't to the degree that it was really strong, didn't have any damage with that storm back in Estill County.
Seen that a lot. The storm seemed to the spots.
Right.
And so we're not getting any confirmation of gusty damaging winds, at least observations of that, which, I mean, if we had to say get down into your safe space and then there weren't 70-mile-an-hour winds, I think at the end of the day that's the best outcome, but we don't have anything really hitting the spots we need to be able to confirm any of this stuff. If we want to just quick back up to that tornado warning in Lawrence County.
Yes,
just
go ahead.
A quick moment on that here for us. It is now past the community of Blaine. They're still in the tornado warning for another 7 minutes, but we're seeing that rotation remain pretty tight here at this point. And I just want to show you, while the scan has gone on, the debris signature for us up there in portions of Lawrence County, it has dropped away again a little bit, but if I put this into just the last 15 minutes or so, you sort of see a couple little bubble ups take place with the debris signature at the beginning and end of this. And I'll freeze frame it right there, just south of Blaine. This could potentially be part of that debris signature we're talking about. And then we go over just a couple of minutes here. You use the right piece, and you see it disappear again. That could be part of the opportunity for this storm to be lifting and then recycling and hitting the ground again as it moves through. This is the velocity reading showing the rotation back off to the west of Blaine, but the storm relative of that is showing that as well now too. But this is again just a few minutes ago. Watch this as we put this into play, how this kind of rotated through town. Maybe two areas that had some brief rotation within it. If not a tornado, straight line winds, certainly a possibility here too. But when we put our spin tracker on here and we put this tracker on there as well, you'll notice that there is cause for concern that there's still likely some rotation, a BTI, like J-Lo was talking about a minute ago, of 7.2. And so that's, again, high on our list from 0 to 10, concern for the potential of a tornado in that area. And it's really kind of moving more to the south and east. This is pointing the storm going towards the north and east. And so I think it might be misjudging that slightly as we walk through this radar scene one more time and put it into motion. Notice how the whole storm itself is going southwest, but it thinks that it's going northeast. I wouldn't trust the timing of that tracker at this point. Suggest that folks that are out ahead of this in this general direction towards 23 south of Louisa should probably expect to see the worst of this potential tornado coming their way in the next 15 minutes or so. Justin?
Yeah, still that other tornado warning, all right, but on the big picture, we'll kind of reset some things here. The tornado warning still continues for Laurel County. It does include London, and it is very close. If there's a tornado, it would be just to the south of the city of London. So here is downtown London, here's the south side of London, here's 25, and here's Interstate 75. Literally, this is crossing I-75 in the Pine Grove community. If we were to have a tornado, it would now just be east of there. The new scan takes, now again, you see how we start to see the rotation become broader again. We're not getting as many of the brighter greens and the brighter reds right next to each other. They're still touching, but that is a sign of broadening and weakening rotation. Thing left, if we were to still have a tornado, it would be near the Lilly community and just off to the south now and east of Pine Grove. And here's Interstate 75, just cross that. If there's a tornado, it would be near the Lilly community. This is going to be US 25 going out of Ferriston, from Ferriston to Lilly, right in here. Barberville Road, the Boring community, McCargue, you're farther to the south and east, but this is where, if there's a tornado at all with this storm, it would be right here, south of London, southeast, very close to it, of the Pine Grove and Lilly communities. Another time, though, I want to show a big picture for the whole rest of our viewing area, and we'll go back to regular radar. And again, everyone in from London and southeast in Laurel County, basement if you've got it, if you don't, interior room on the first floor of your home, a closet that's under those staircases, a hallway. If your bathroom has windows, don't go there. Find a room that's the most center of your home, away from windows, all right? And get into that interior room and stay there until the all clear. But elsewhere, for people that are maybe wondering, what's happening in my community? I want to know. Well, everywhere north of Somerset, north of London, we're in the clear. There is no more severe threat, and maybe a couple of downpours that could still move through, but Lexington, Richmond, Danville, Frankfort, all clear. Mount Sterling, Paris, Cynthiana, Danville, clear from the severe threat. Yes, there is still that flash flood warning that's going. The flood watch is here. Let's see. Do we have inside of here, Justin, the watches and warnings? Here they are. So you'll notice how they've trimmed back the severe thunderstorm watch for the counties to the north, including Fayette and neighboring communities. But again, really even farther south than that, Boyle, Mercer, Lincoln, and Garrett and Madison, you're in the clear. So is Estill and Powell, because when you go back to the radar, once that first line, once this initial push goes through your area, it is done. Okay, let me get the radar. We'll try one more time. Sometimes the hand tracker has a mind of its own. Back to the standard radar view. We'll clear that off, and then we'll go back to the standard radar view. There we go. This is where anywhere along and just ahead of this line is where we still have the potential for some severe storms. Nothing severe with this that's going into Perry County, Nothing severe with this part that's even going through Knott County, Floyd County, Pike County. You're just looking at some rain. Whitesburg, Harlan, just some rain. The big storm here, still of the hour, if you want to call it that, is still this storm, this part of the line, right along the Hal Rogers Parkway, along and south of the Hal Rogers and along and east of I-75 in Laurel County is where we still have the potential here. Look, very broad to that rotation, but could a tornado touch down quickly? It could. I mean, we saw that fluctuate from nothing to tightening up to weakening again. So that's what happens with these storms. Until they see your area, you just have to watch like a hawk, and that's what we've been doing for you today. Back off to the west. Let's look farther west, the edge of our viewing area, and this is likely going to miss us. This storm has also been predicted. I saw some reports in the chat earlier of likely a tornado as it came from Hart County, which is up toward the Horse Cave area as you're going I-65 on the way down from E-Town to Bowling Green. Some damage reported back in Hart County. Then this storm south through Edmonton and then working its way now into Cumberland County here. All right, that's our viewing area, but that's a storm that likely misses us. It's out of Metcalf into Cumberland. That goes south and then likely goes into Tennessee. So the only storm we have in our viewing area here, Justin, is the one tornado warned storm into Laurel County right now.
Yeah, and it's just as we continue to kind of backtrack towards things that have happened, there's plenty of areas that are without power tonight from the severe weather. You might not have seen much in the Lexington metro. We had some heavy rain for a moment. We had dark clouds and some gusty winds. There's still about 200 customers without power here in Fayette County, and there's a few more if you work to the south. Garrett County, about 400 folks. Pulaski County, where the storms are just trying to exit now, there's over 800 folks without power currently. And the power outages will continue to be improved, of course, as crews get out there. But, of course, back off into areas where we were just talking about the tornado. There was a tornado that has been going on. The one that Justin was just talking about has been on and off the ground for some time now. They've had reports pop in the chat of extensive damage in a few places as well. So certainly some folks dealing with it a lot worse than others as we roll through tonight. Thoughts and prayers with them as they start the cleanup efforts out there. Hopefully we can, of course, bring you some of those updates later on tonight and tomorrow from the we've had even here too. Likely some opportunities to see tornado video and other things, especially as we get towards our 10 o'clock news. But we'll be continuing to watch these power outages hopefully improve quickly here tonight. And it does look like as we go through this, there's just that one warning left to keep an eye on in terms of our radar here the rest of tonight. As we get past it, the good news is that we are in for much more pleasant weather. We typically have our newscast right now, and we are going to touch on this tornado warning one more time. Let me just give you a quick synopsis of what's coming your way here the next couple of days, and it's going to be a beautiful one at that. If anything, take a peek at this. Tomorrow and Thursday, our humidity appears. There's cold fronts coming through, knocking it out completely. It's going to be wonderful. And, of course, we typically give you a chance to see the 7-day forecast. Here it is. After today, things look really good. We're talking about a couple days where we might not even hit 80 degrees, which would feel pleasant, wonderful compared to the heat we've had. It is short-lived as we go towards the weekend, maybe a slight chance for a spot shower on Saturday. But then as we get towards Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, unfortunately, that heat to return. So we just storm chances tonight, then we'll be on our way to some better weather the rest of the way here throughout the day. And again, outside of our severe thunderstorm watch, we also have a flood watch that stays in place for us tonight for the areas that have seen that until 2 a.m. as these storms continue to track across portions of the viewing area here. We'll have that to deal with as well. But a noticeable downturn, at least in terms of the severity of these storms, the strength, the overall theme. You can see not a lot of lightning. It's a nice indicator for us to be able to tell whether or not storms are either intensifying or weakening. We're seeing that here. We don't have any more severe thunderstorm warnings at this time. We just have that tornado warning that is now really in Laurel County till 7:30, starting to work more so into Knox County and northern Clay County. I'm sorry, southern Clay County here tonight. We'll see if there's the potential for an extension of that, since it is starting to inch towards the edge of the box. Justin, are you seeing something over there? Any pictures, video?
This is just from earlier. These are a few more videos because here's the latest scan before we take Apple TV again, because we still have that tornado warning till 7:30 for this storm in Laurel County, and the warning goes over into the northern part of Knox County. Yes, there's likely still some strong gusty winds on the front edge of this, the leading edge of this that's crossing out now of Laurel County into the northern part of Knox County. I wouldn't be shocked if they maybe go and extend this with the severe thunderstorm warning, but overall the storm itself is getting a little bit weaker. Let me go back, if we could pull up Apple TV. I showed this video earlier. This is back of confirmation. This was a tornado that touched down. Video that's playing. It's kind of hard to see. Is it still playing? It's like wanting to connect to the TV, but also at the same time it's wanting to connect to Apple TV. I have another video. There's several of these that I'm trying to. This was is it playing?
Yes.
Yes, it is playing. Finally, sometimes it wants to connect North Middletown too. You can see from North Middletown. Macy Randolph sent this to me. Kelsey Rowe also sent this to me. This was looking just south of North Middletown, and you can see how the funnel at the very beginning of that, look at that, you can see that it is on the ground. You see it spinning, and a little bit of debris starts to get churned up at the bottom of that video. So that's all the same storm. And I have another video here. This one was from as it was initiating on the front porch. Macy Randolph sent this to me too. You can see the initial funnel here. She's looking from North Middletown just to the south of town as that tornado earlier did move through parts of Bourbon County, very close, if not into portion on the south side over the ballpark there. And living there, growing up there, the ballpark is south of town. It's between, on the way from North Middletown on your way to Mount Sterling. You would run toward the ballpark. She said she's looking toward that direction earlier where the storm formed. Appreciate the videos because, and obviously they were in safer places to do that. Let's go back to the radar one more time, but we want to make sure that if you're taking these, that you're either at a distance or you're not in harm's way when you're trying to record these. We appreciate the videos. Again, that is ground truth because the radar can only do so much in instances where we're dealing with some weaker tornadoes or more rural areas. Can't always see it. All right, let's move back over to radar and links 2 here. And we've got 9 minutes left on the tornado warning. Have they said? I think they're just going to allow it to ride to 7:30. I don't think this time that they're going to extend it unless if this tightens back up.
No, they've mentioned that they will be expiring that Laurel County tornado warning, which would be in about 9 minutes if they haven't already pushed the button.
Okay, good. I don't, if we go back, oftentimes you can see some signatures earlier when we were talking about the bookend signature earlier. You could see it a little more clearly by looking at our standard reflectivity view. There are some winds from Corbin, and I highlighted this a minute ago, from Corbin and running in the northern part of Knox County, right up here with Laurel County. Of that, Siler, Gray, Community, Gray, Kentucky. I get videos from Tim Jackson out of Gray, Kentucky often. That's what Crane Nest right here on the leading edge. We're going to get some gusty winds that are coming in, likely not at severe levels though if we switch over to normal velocity. Still pretty stout, could have some gusts there, maybe that go up to 40, maybe plus, but this is not as strong as it was earlier. We could get some 40, 45, but again for severe thunderstorm winds, gusts or stronger. So I think for sure they are going to, unless if that really just rapidly, Justin, goes intense and ramps up in the next 5-10 minutes here, I think we're going to allow to see that to expire. And places north of that, you are in the all clear. Look at that, north of that line. Yeah, some downpours going through Lincoln County right now, very close, if not north of Stanford. Rockcastle County, Mount Vernon, some rain. That's not severe. The line is passed south of you. More that has worked over the atmosphere enough so the front not far behind, it worked south. Anywhere north of London here, you may get a couple of downpours, but I'm not seeing a severe threat any longer.
Yeah, it looks like that's pretty much going to be it for us. They already canceled it. That'll expire in 7 minutes.
Good.
The box will go away. And again, we'll just have to watch for maybe a little bit of that. While we're on the topic, though, of some stuff that happened earlier, while we're waiting for that to go, just wanted to show you this one more time, too. We did have video from the Owen County tornado earlier, and I want to show you that as well. Check this out. This was made its way into Harrison County eventually, but this was back in Owen County where we saw this tornado come through. You can see it. You can see it touching ground here too. Maybe not so much kicking up the debris, at least in this portion of the video, but it certainly did cause some damage. And I want to try to see if I could pull up a picture of that for you as well, too.
Amazing footage of this closer.
He's got that close up too.
Holy cow. One of my friends that I used to work with in Louisville, she sent this to me out of Owen County, and she lives there. This is not her video, but if you can take this, she sent this from a friend of hers. Ooh. This is the Owen County tornado. Look at this up close.
Yeah. That's a little too close for my comfort.
I mean, this was not her this was not Taylor that recorded that, but look,
whatever that was,
look at the debris. That was probably a shed, a building, a home or something.
Maybe a barn, yep.
Holy moly. This is Craig Mile Farm Equipment. So this was recorded from a farm equipment store in Owen County. I mean, look at, that's way too close for comfort. That would have been, that person needed to have been inside.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, and if you flip back over here from Melvin Wright, he gave us permission to use this image here from the same likely tornado in Owen County there. Look at this. What looks like it used to be maybe a home or a barn is gone. Demolished. The RV looks like it's flipped on its side. The vehicles don't look like they're in bad shape, but everything else scattered, the debris everywhere. Certainly some surveys are going to need to go down for us here as we roll through the rest of the day tomorrow. And I'm sure the National Weather Service will be quick to get some teams out there, if not even tonight with a little bit of light that we still have left, to maybe get some full confirmation on that. So wrapping things up here, at least in terms of severe weather, tonight at 10, we're going to have all the latest updates on this. I'm pretty sure we've got some reporters out in the new Middletown area trying to find some of the damage there. Hopefully we can maybe even get some sound from people in the area. We'll see what we can come back with, but we do have some people efforting some things for us across these areas that have been hit and likely the confirmed tornadoes that we have seen, and we'll be able to show you the video, show you the aftermath, and hopefully everybody is okay and there are no injuries to report so far. Just some damage to things that can eventually be replaced, and that's a good sign for us as we continue to track these storms out tonight. Justin?
Yeah, you know, when you see video like that, I mean, just that up close to where you have tornadoes. I mean, people see this, it hit some people's homes or some businesses that look like up there in Owen County, and some went through more rural parts there of North Middletown. I don't see anything yet from the videos that we've seen to where it hit homes or structures, but all the videos that I've received out of North Middletown, it definitely went over some farmland, and it was brief, but still, anytime you have a tornado, it is worth reiterating that it can do damage, all right? And thankfully today, from what we've seen so far, no injuries from the storms that have come through, and we are 100% thankful for that. We're here to keep you and your family safe throughout, no matter how long it takes. Again, that last warning there, Justin, 3 minutes. 3 minutes, but
almost there.
Wouldn't you know it, on the tail end of that, it kind of spiking back up. I still don't think it's to the level that they're going to go any warnings, but there is still some really gusty winds just north of Barberville there in northern Knox County, spiking back up. This is kind of back where that area I was telling you, just east of Gray, Kentucky.
As you say it, it happens there.
I said that just east of there, that on the leading edge of this, that it still could spike up, but it doesn't look like it's even strong enough that they're going to issue any winds that even get into severe weather. Yeah,
not that storm. Actually, they put a new one out for the cell that's in southern Pulaski County now.
Oh, they did?
There's a new cell that has kind of been spiking up there until 8 p.m. A severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible. You go ahead and bring it over here, and I'll show you guys what we're looking at as we monitor that new warning for Pulaski County for this cell that is sort of worked its way back against the grain a little bit, you could say, kind of redeveloped along this broken line, working into southern Pulaski County until 8 p.m. It also includes far western portions of Laurel County, includes parts of McCreary and Whitley County until 8 p.m. And again, mostly for 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, not as much for the opportunity of any hail, but the chance for a tornado possible is in there, and that is likely because of the history of what we have been seeing throughout these storms today. A close look, it's right by Burnside right now, for the most part, where the strongest of potential rotation would be, as we continue to watch this in terms of both velocity and storm relative. Not seeing anything there again that would concern me. Going from Louisville site, it's farther away than Jackson, but it does start to show maybe some reds and greens coming together, and that could be part of the issue here. It'd be right about there, just north of Burnside, just south of Somerset, just south of Ferguson, where the opportunity for maybe some very light rotation would be. And so again, we've got that now as our latest and greatest thunderstorm to keep an eye on for you through 8 p.m. And again, moving to the south and east, let me pull up the note here. They put out a few different things. Just for 60-mile-an-hour winds, moving southeast at 35 miles an hour. They also put out what we would call a special weather statement, which means they're not putting a severe warning on the rest of this storm that is now moving out of Laurel County. That's kind of like right here where I'm drawing this white box. It's called a special weather statement. So not severe warned at this time, but some winds upwards of 50 miles an hour could still be possible within this. They've rated it at 40 miles an hour, and it's moving to the east at 40 miles an hour. So that's the last two on the budget here for us tonight with these storms moving through. Justin, did you have anything you wanted to add about this Pulaski County storm? Or is this, I mean, looks mostly like a heavy rain. Again, that
lots of lightning.
Lots of lightning. So it's seen an uptick in energy and nation be lacking in a big way at this current point.
I think that they definitely put that just because of the history that the storms have likely, not to say that, again, there couldn't be at least a strengthening more to that storm. But some of this has already gone through a bit of storms have already kind of worked through some of this area earlier. So this should be getting a little bit weaker. There's a bit of broad rotation there, as Justin was mentioning, but that will continue to move southeast pretty quickly, a little faster than what some of the storms were a little bit earlier because of the initial push. Still some broad rotation, which is why they put that tornado tag on there, meaning that yes, a tornado could happen with short, little to no warning. That's why they put that. It may not be rotation that warrants a warning, a tornado warning, but they say, well, a tornado could pop up quickly, and we already saw that with a few thunderstorms that pushed through here earlier today. Very broad, though, but still some strong winds. If we go back to the radar, there may even be some hail with that coming through the Burnside community right now. I wish, you know what, let me switch back over our camera here. I want to look south. We may have to pan our camera to the south to see that. Obviously raining again in Somerset, so more south. So we are looking more south. Obviously it's still going to be rain, very heavy rain. The leading edge is where you'd find the strongest winds. This is back more toward the north because we're seeing the sky brighten up again. So back this direction, very ominous looking clouds, but on the horizon there, nothing that would warrant that I see any lowering on the horizon there at all, but still some strong winds that, yeah, it could still do some damage. That's obviously clearly why they issued a warning out of this. That's going through Burnside, and it would work its way east, but it would likely work east over areas, Justin, that have continued to kind of, the atmosphere has already been worked over. Yeah.
Yeah, that's about as far as she goes for us, I think, in terms of severe weather tonight. So we're glad everybody is safe. If anything else comes about, we will certainly keep you posted. Do you have any last word before we send you back to programming? I think we're good to go. So make sure you tune in at 10 o'clock tonight. We're going to highlight all these storms once again. If anything else severe comes up and that warrants a cut in, we will cut in. Otherwise, we're glad everybody is safe. We hope you have a great evening.